The 21-year-old Rossi was the next big thing in Italian football. His poacher's instinct in front of goal earned him a reputation, and he was constantly surrounded. Despite that, Rossi scored 3 goals as Italy secured a 4th-place finish. Then, in 1980, Italy was rocked by one of the most famous match-fixing scandals in football history, Toto Nero. It started when a market trader in Rome approached a restaurant owner whose venue was popular with professional footballers. The plan was simple: run an illegal betting operation where the public placed bets, not knowing that the players who ate at the restaurant were getting a cut to deliver certain results. The house and the players would always win. And it was all being run out of a Roman eatery. When a whistleblower went to the police, though, Rossi was suspended from football for 3 years. He consistently denied being involved and eventually had his ban reduced to 2 years. That allowed him to join Juventus for the final 3 games of the 82 season and win Serie A. And in those 3 games, Italy manager Enzo Bezzo saw a spark. Rossi was included in the World Cup squad and then the starting 11. In the groups, he did nothing. No goals, no assists, and the Italian public was begging for him to be dropped. Bear in mind, he'd played the likes of Peru and Cameroon and OK, Argentina. By the way, spot the very young Diego Maradona. Then, out of nowhere, he got a hat-trick against Brazil, another 2 in the semi-finals, and the opener in the final. Not only did he lift the trophy, he won the Golden Boot and the Golden Ball. It was maybe the biggest one-tournament turnaround the World Cup has ever seen. The whole story is so gloriously Italian, and considering he never played in a World Cup ever again, maybe it's one of football's greatest fairy tales.
Welcome to it. It's the World Cup weekend on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Sean Dyche alongside me for 3 hours of fun. You're more than welcome to come and join us. 03717 22 33 44. Lots to talk about. We're going to dissect England's performances, not just last night, but across the whole of the group stage. The dilemmas that face Thomas Tuchel going forward in the World Cup as we head to the round of 32. DR Congo next on Wednesday. We're also going to talk a little bit about Scotland as well, with Steve Clarke deciding to resign from the managerial position late last night. If you want to get involved with the show, you're more than welcome to do so. 03717 22 33 44. It is talkSPORT on a Sunday afternoon. Mr. Dyche, look at this. Look at what they've done, mate. They put a bit of Blackburn and Burnley together, eh?
Yeah.
This is what they want.
Well, it's a shame that you never beat us on it when I was there. 34 years Burnley waited, and then it all turned around.
Listen, I'm just getting that out the way now, right? Because like you said, we had the bragging rights for a long period of time. Then you rocked up, mate. Thanks for that.
No, well, we did change it around. When I first got to Burnley, they were saying to me on the board, they said, all we want you to do is beat Blackburn.
Was that legit?
I swear.
Oh, no.
And then imagine 9.5 years later, just when I was leaving, I went, I think we did a little bit more here than just beat Blackburn. So it's a good story, and it's a true story.
I'm not having that.
I know. There you go.
You've upset me. Listen, this is how the World Cup has sounded so far on talkSPORT.
Let's go. They need the insurance blanket of a second goal. Here with Bellingham twisting left-hand side of the box, clipping it in for Kane. There it is. England are going to be finishing top of the group.
He gets it away and gets his hat-trick. Stand up and applaud. Ousmane Dembele with a World Cup hat-trick.
The referee puts whistle to mouth. That's it. Ecuador have beaten Germany. Job done. It's got massive ramifications for Scotland, but it propels Ecuador through.
Argentina's number 10, left-footed shot, and there it is! History once again for Lionel Messi, the first man to score in 7 consecutive World Cup Finals matches. His 19th goal.
Sounded good, hasn't it? Let's be honest. I don't know about you, Sean. I was a little apprehensive about the new format of this World Cup. Obviously, having more teams in there, and I didn't think that it would really get going until maybe the round of 16. I've got to take a step back because there's been a couple of stories that have come off the back of this World Cup that have made me smile, especially the Cape Verde story. I mean, that has been pretty sensational, hasn't it?
I agree. I mean, we were talking about it last week, me and Johnny, 24 teams in 82, 48 for this one.
Yeah.
A lot of people who, before me included, by the way, were going, some of these dead rubbers, the teams that are really good enough, and I'm not saying they are good enough, but they have brought some magic to the event, and it is a knockout competition. These teams you're talking about, sort of deemed no-hopers, and yet they've given some magical moments to the tournament so far. I mean, loads of magical moments. I'm sure we've gone to the big stuff, but even the small teams and what they're doing has been terrific, I think.
Well, the big stuff, the best player that has ever graced the planet. Messi.
I knew you were going to go. I know, I swear. That's why I said the big stuff, because I know we're going to probably talk about it more, but, the tournament for me, I'm the same, right? You're never sure how you think, because a lot of these tournaments, you get why, because there's so much at stake, but the early rounds they've been poor, haven't they? Slow and boring, you know what I mean? It's been like a real slow build-up into the tournament itself, but these have been, I think some of the games, well, England, to be fair, I know we'll go heavily onto them, but the first game, terrific, really exciting, really powerful performance, not just them, but others as well. And I agree, it's been better than I thought. And then the big stuff. So the big guns, they're coming to play, aren't they? Mbappe's playing, Messi's playing. Ronaldo, everyone's writing them off. Boom, have that. Kane, of course, our own Kane, and many others. But, they're bringing it to light. And it does remind me of when I was a kid. And I think back to days of Zico and Adair and,
What was your first World Cup? What was your first one?
Well, 78, I just remember the ticker-tape, and that sort of thing. But 82 was the one when I remember more,
Spain.
And you properly can remember some of it, and all some of the stories from that period. But I mean, you look at my day and it's Platini and them, they were turning up to the tournament. You think, wow, these boys, and then, but there's still some surprise then, Paolo Rossi and people like that. So, Scalacci and,
You do, as we get older, you kind of take for granted the romanticism of it, don't you?
Yeah.
Because we've obviously, like you say, you've gone 82, 86, 90. I mean, 90 is my first one, which is an absolute belter to have as your first one.
Yeah, magic.
But there'll be kids now tuning in to this World Cup around the world that are getting to experience. I mean, Messi's World Cup so far has been off the charts. I know he won it last time, but he's superseding everything this time around.
I think that's the thing that you forget about when you're in the business, like I've been, because it takes away that feeling. I remember the World Cups when I was a kid, before I was a professional footballer. They seemed so much more powerful in my nostalgic eyes than ones when I became a professional footballer and in football, because you look at it differently. It becomes part of your world in the business. But before you get there, when I was a kid, and like I say, 82, 86, 90 even, because I was just a young footballer, it meant so much, and it was so glorious, and so, it feels so clear in my mind, the beauty of it, the excitement of it all. And then over the years, because I've been in the business a long time, it takes that away. So I do marvel now at fans and the way they get carried away, especially kids. I think it's brilliant the way they're loving this World Cup.
There's been a lot of talk, obviously, off the pitch of the way America, FIFA and all that type of stuff have put this World Cup on. But on the pitch, which is what we're here to talk about, I think it's been mustard. I think in stadiums it looks packed. I know there's loads of conversation about ticket prices, and I'm with all the fans on that, absolutely. But it's packed. People look like they're having a whale of a time. People are turning up. The noise is crazy.
All the reports are good. No messing around, no mad stuff. And fans have all been brilliant across the board, it seems. I know people are out there not in the business. I mean, just people are out there, as fans, and they've said it's been fantastic. The way they've organised it, the way they're doing it. I mean, you must say that you're not that surprised that America can put on.
They know what they're doing, don't they?
I was going to say, let's have it right. I mean, look at their sports. Their sports, they take it so seriously. Sport. I know we do in England, but in America, it's massive, isn't it? And the stadiums, look at the college stadiums.
Yeah.
Blooming sake, I mean, look at them. They're, let alone the professional stadiums, the NFL and all that. So I don't think there was any question of that. I know it's not just America, of course, but you get my point. And And I think they're doing a great job there. But equally, and I totally agree, on the pitch, I mean, that's eventually, right, all the stadium like goes out of the way, because when that whistle blows, that's what people are really there to watch, and that's what the world wants to see, and I think that's been really good as well.
Hydration breaks, mate, come on.
Don't.
Come on. No. I want you to look at this from I want you to look at it from 2 points, right? I want you to look at it from a fan point of view, and I want you to look at it from a coaching point of view as well. Would you appreciate it if you were a coach?
Fan point of view first, I don't know, maybe they see it as a drinks break. You know, I don't know, because they want a drinks break.
Yeah, they've gone off for a bevy.
Exactly. But no, from a management point of view, I get the idea of it from that, you know, right. So it starts a drinks break, it's 3.5 minutes, I think. Let's have it right. You really need 3.5 minutes to have a drink. You know, come on. And then you got the different.
It's a commercial break on the telly in America. We know why they're doing it.
Yeah, of course we do. I don't really like that, because you've got to be careful with this, boy. It's been going a long time, and I know they go progression and all that, but you know, some things are best left alone, and it's a game that should be left alone for the fact it's 2 halves.
Yeah, not 4 quarters.
Exactly, and I think that, let's face it, I think they were trying originally to push it to quarters, weren't they?
Yes.
Proper breaks, like 5, 6, 7 minutes or whatever. They've probably done a deal somewhere, but. Look, money makes the world go round, and it's getting heavier and heavier. The weight of the final.
But as a coach,
it's getting heavier.
Be honest, as a coach, right? Let's say you put your team out there. First 20 minutes, it's not going how we want it to go. Yeah. Would you appreciate that 3 minutes to get everybody in and go, yeah, lads, right, we're changing this up now?
Well, they can't be that open, can they? Because if you think you've seen the cameras are all over it.
Yeah.
So if you imagine, if you got that moment where you're going to go, I would say give them a life, let's say, then the camera's on. You have to be careful. Look, I'm not that keen on it, if I'm honest, from a fan point of view.
Yeah.
I'm still a fan in a way, you know. I do look at the game differently, not like a true fan, but so I just want the game to carry on. I don't like it, but as a manager, yeah, I agree. You might be able to assess your players. You can have that moment to get proper information across, because during the game you can, but you still won't stop to have that few minutes to get proper information on. You could argue it can change games in your favour, against your favour. You know, the flow. Loads of talk in professional sport about momentum and breaking momentum, and loads of gamesmanship in sport. In tennis, they do all sorts. You know all the stories from tennis and gamesmanship to break momentum. So this breaks momentum, and then you have to restart momentum.
The crazy one for me with it is that there's been certain games where there's been a natural break in momentum. Like the other day, I was watching a game where someone went down injured, and it was the 22nd minute. He's gone down injured. He needs some attention, so that they've come on. Have the drinks break now? No.
I know.
We're going to wait.
No, I was watching it.
TV are waiting. We're going to go for another 2 minutes yet.
And you could see, I can't remember which game it was, but I was watching the two cats. They're looking at the ref going, what, you know, it's 2 minutes.
And then they kicked off, and then they had the break.
Yeah, I know. And that's where it does get a bit mad, eh? You know, you're a fan. Even if you're in stadium, you go, really? But look, I mean, like I say, money is the biggest power in the world now, and it's well, it always has been, by the way. But I mean, in the sports world, it's become so powerful now.
Yeah,
making money, turning it over, all the governing.
But you don't want it to sanitise the game, do you? You want it to still be. I mean, the guys that are playing, for example, on Hackney Marshes today, you want it to kind of, in a way, resemble some type of game that you.
I know another day we could do a whole show on it, but my biggest fear for football is it's becoming a show, an actual show. You know, like a theatre. Yeah, like a theatre. Right now, I don't mean theatre in the great way of emotion. It's becoming like, you know, something is getting a bit theatre-like.
First act, a second act.
Yeah, you got it. So I don't want it to get to that point. That's for sure. There's still got to be the raw emotion and the belief in what it is. But that's the way the game's going. You know, it's. I mean, goodness knows what'll come next for football, but. No, I don't want it messed around too much. I think there's certain things about football are best left alone, and certainly with all these drink breaks and all that, for me, just leave it alone. Football.
Listen, we're going to get stuck into England extensively in a minute, but just your overriding umbrella thoughts of how they've done in the first 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, adequate, because at the end of the day, right, I put my management head on, you've got to get the job done. That's the first thing. Get through the rounds. Get through unscathed, which we haven't done with injuries, but that's no one's fault. But, you know, get through. So they've done that, and they've done it, let's have it right, they've done it pretty comfortably, really. Now, not comfortably if I go to my fan point of view, I'll be going, it's a bit slow, methodical, and not much life in it, apart from the obvious, the first game, the second half, really. There's nothing wrong with it, but nothing too right with it. You know, it's just been a little bit tame. But then you argue, of course, because in the camp, for all we know, there might be that feeling where they're just ticking along. Now, not in a big time way, but football's not that easy. You can't just, you know, well, look at Cape Verde. You can't just roll teams over for the sake of it. But, you know, big players rise to bigger games, and it's difficult sometimes. You know, they win the first one, that's more or less the job done when you're as powerful as England, or what they should be. You draw the second one, job done, virtually. I know stats and all that. And then you win the last one, bit tame. But now the bigger stuff comes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, DR Congo's not going to be easy. They're physical, organised, you know, fit and strong and all them basic things. But it's whether they're revving up, getting ready for it, other than the injuries, of course, which is the challenge, which I'm sure we'll mention. But it's tough. My management head says adequate, done the job, and I'd be quite happy if I was the manager. Okay. But not maybe with the presentation of the style I wanted to perform in and the way I wanted to play, because I'm sure the manager wanted all games to be like the second half in the first game. I'm sure he wanted it to be that. And it's just gone a bit milky on it, a bit wishy-washy, a bit kind of slow and methodical, which that was another worry of mine for the bigger picture of football anyway, that kind of slowness to the game, you know, rather than that pace to the game. But they might just be getting ready. I hope they are. I hope they're just holding it back a little bit. I hope so.
We're going to continue this conversation about the dilemmas that face Thomas Tuchel next, right here on talkSPORT. Don't be going anywhere.
I just think our options, like we bring O'Reilly on, he gets the header in the box late on. You start putting bodies in the box against these low defensive block teams. Like it was calling out for Tony to come on for me, get more bodies in the box, because we had players come on, put more crosses in the box. Saka come on and made an impact, I thought. But I just think Saka and Rashford has to start.
He's got to take the skipper off if he does.
So that was John Terry, sitting exactly where Sam is this morning. This clamour for Rashford, you've got a view in that, haven't you?
Well, I just don't remember the last time Rashford started a game for England was particularly impactful. It's always the way, whatever you haven't got is what you cry out for when you don't get the outcomes that you want. The main thrust of England's game was they didn't fizz the ball around. If you move the ball quickly, you move people around. And it was interesting that they put Saka on, which I think makes a lot of difference when he comes on, because he's a clever player, he creates outcomes. And the numbers that he throws out on the field are quite staggering when he's actually on the field. And then he shifted Madueke dugout side so that the coach could be in his ear, driving him forward. I think the other thing, I think Rashford comes on as an impact player. If you're playing the last 20 minutes of a game and Rashford comes on with a wild hair up his backside because he hasn't been in the side, he's been replaced by Anthony Gordon at Barcelona and England, and wants to play, which is the Rashford that we've got now. Tragically, for a boy of his talent, he's a consequence player. Every time he does something that gets him consequence, he responds to it. He doesn't play well for a season. The England team need him to be available for the next World Cup. He has a good season. He goes away, gets himself into trouble by not turning up for a training session, gets consequence. The next 3 games he plays very well. So I don't think Rashford starting is the answer. I think the midfield popping the ball around against teams that sit in and defend. And interestingly, I watched the Panamanians. These are not a bad side. They are quite a dynamic side. I thought the first 25 minutes, 30 minutes of games against Croatia was quite exciting. And I think Panama will come into this game thinking, well, we're out. So we've got nothing to lose. What's the point of a low block? What's the point of just sitting in? We can have a go at England, and it
It's the World Cup weekender on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Sean Dyche alongside me. You're more than welcome to come and join us. 03717 22 33 44 is the phone number. Obviously, last night England did the business against Panama, winning 2-0, topping the group, 7 points. Roll on Wednesday. They take on DR Congo at 5 o'clock, and we'll have a lot of build-up, no doubt, between now and then here on talkSPORT. It's going to start right now. Let's get stuck straight into it, shall we? Do you think we put the rest of the World Cup on notice with our performances, or not as of yet?
No, I think the first one might. I think that would have been a sort of, that hello moment, like, oh, all right, they've come to play. The next two have been quite steady, I think. Solid, nothing particularly awful, but just not that fizz that was in the first game. But I think the first one would have livened a few up, and they'd have gone, God, they look at it. And the next couple have been, like I say, they got the job done, which is good, but a bit tame, I thought, Especially last night, I was watching it was like, oh, come on. It's like, oof, need a bit more life in it than this if you're going to go all the way.
What dilemmas are facing Tuchel now going forward? Most people are obviously going to talk about the right-back scenario. Yeah. But do you see anything else in that team that
I mean,
he's got to answer?
You don't look at Kane, right? So if he goes down, you go in with then. So that's a big one. I'm surprised how much he's played. But on the other hand, I know people who work with him and said, you just keep playing. He just wants to play. Just keep playing. Your wide players, who's laying down a real marker for me, Rashford, with his record and what he can do and his directness. Saka as well, for me, them two. Bellingham, I think, is a massive. He's not a surprise to me. I'm not giving it a bigger, but he would have been my team. 100%.
Can you believe there was a pre-tournament debate about Bellingham?
Well, the thing is, because again, when you're in it, like I've been for so many years, that he's still young. People forget that he's 22, and they go, "No, he's not doing this, he's not doing that. He's got a bit carried away with it all." And all these stories were coming out. He's 22. Give him a chance. Give him a breather. And he's turned up, and he looks back on it to me. I think he looks superb. He's a Rolls Royce, I think, personally. And he's definitely in my team. And I've been really well. I think everyone's been pleased with his performances, without a doubt.
There's certain players that he comes across as one of them, as what you would class as a clutch player. Those big moments, he's the type of guy that is prepared to carry the team on his back and say, "Listen, I'll do the business right now. Follow me in."
I think that's the great thing about going through these challenges. It builds, people talk about now about resilience and building resilience. Well, when you have these question marks and you come through it, then half build your strength, and you've got to have inner strength to get through that. And he's certainly showing that. If you get that mix, really, if you're looking at Elliot Anderson with what he's done in the last 18 months, fantastic how he's matured. But then again, he's got a lot going on off the pitch. People forget that.
Of course,
Gordon's got a lot going on off the pitch, just moved to a big club and all these things. They all go into the melting pot, It's not... people think they're inhuman. They just go out there and that's it. You flick a switch. Some do, but not many. You still got a real life going on behind you. And Declan Rice, that three for me, that's a really powerful three. That is in midfield.
Is that your three? You would go Rice, Anderson, Bellingham, the three in the midfield.
That'd be me. And then you can flex it, because you do the 1 and the 2, the 2 and the 1, 4-1-4-1 or 4-2-3-1, whichever one you want. You can flex.
Sound like Ted Rogers and Dusty Bin. There's a little bit of an old gag for some of our younger listeners.
Yeah, I know they're going, who? Yeah, whatever.
Where are you at with Manu? Because last night I was talking to a few Manchester United fans, and they're like, "Why is Manu not getting a crack?"
Yeah, look, he's a good player. There's no two ways about it. But he played bit of a season. I'm not going into the politics of Manu and the management. But, he didn't have a full season's work. The other guys are up and running, really. Played a lot of football. He's a very good player. I just think that mixture's right in there at the minute. For me, that's a good mixture. Because Anderson can play the deeper role if they wanted to flex it more with Declan Rice running on and joining in with Bellingham. So the one in the, full.
Do you think that partnership is the most fluid partnership?
Well, I think I think the combination of their attributes. Bellingham with his power can score a goal, but just sheer, aggressive power, modern aggression. That is not topping people, but just that physicality. Declan's very similar. If you look at Declan Rice's scattergraph from last season, he's all over the place for Arsenal, but in a good way, in a clever way. He knows what he's doing. He's not just running around like a crisp bag in the wind. I know you'd like that one. And then Elliot Anderson's been learning as he goes, and he's, I spoke to him a lot about his positional sense, not driving out of the pocket, staying in the slot a bit longer. That means in the defensive slot. And I think he's got to pick that up as he gets more mature as a player. But he's still his engine to get back and his desire to win the ball, and he wins it in an incredible. He's the best I've seen after it. He doesn't foul people. He just gets his shoulder in and almost scoops the ball away and keeps it. That's a massive, massive thing to have in your team. Players who can do that, who can win it back without giving fouls away and without that kind of edge, but in a fair way. But not only win it, not just big old-fashioned tackle and win the ball, but actually keep it and regain. And that's a big thing in football today, the regains.
With that midfield dynamic, then, are you playing 1 and a 2? Is that what you're doing? You're playing in effect for people that like talk numbers. You're talking a 6 and 2 8s.
Right. So this is where the modern jargon. Yeah. The two pivots. We'll have a double pivot, a single pivot, and all that nonsense.
Give it me in your terms.
4-4-1-1, 4-2-3-1. It's a matter of yards. If you got, you'd argue if you got, say like you got Saka and Rashford, that's more like a 4-2-3-1 because they go higher on the pitch.
Yeah.
You'd be asking your 2 screeners or your 2 pivots or your 2 deep lies, whatever you want to call it, CDMs. They'd go, I know, seriously.
FIFA talk.
I know, seriously. They used to be called just midfield players when I was younger. But you'd be asking them to do the legwork, get across. They'd work as a 2 and fill the gaps behind the 2 wide men who are a bit higher. If you go for a 4-4-1-1, it just means the 2 wide players are a bit deeper. That's all. Out of possession, 4-4-1-1 because they're deep anyway to defend properly, and you got your Bellingham, let's just say, dropping in at the number 10 slot, a bit of defensive number 10. In possession, you're asking Bellingham to be free, go and break the back line, run beyond Kane. 2 wide players driving inside because Kane comes deep.
Yes.
If you can imagine that. He comes deep. The centre half now is worried about Kane. Do I go in with him or do I let him play? If he goes in with him, that's a chance for your 2 wide players to drive inside. And that's where the 4-3-3 becomes.
What if they don't come with him, though? Because those more experienced teams, as you go deeper in a tournament, the centre-halves are going to go, I know what he's doing, so just leave him, let him go. We'll pick up a runner from midfield.
But then he gets turned. If he gets turned, now he's running at you. And if he's driving at you and running at you, that's even more chance for your... So that becomes a quarterback role. So if Kane gets it deep and he gets turned, now he's looking at the field, so he's quarterback. So now once he's a quarterback, he can see the picture. And if he's seeing the picture, that is your sign. If you're a wide player, if you're a Rashford or Saka, you're on your bike. I'd be disappearing, breaking the back line as quick as I could.
Regarding their movement, then they're moving inside.
I'm just using them too. I'm not saying it will be them. Madueke, it could be Madueke. Sorry, it could be.
Yeah.
It could be Gordon. My point is, if Kane drops deep and gets turned, the wide players, that should be absolute signal to see their numbers. Kane should be seeing their numbers, driving in behind, inside and darting in behind the in between the.
Does that then put onus on the fullbacks then to go outside?
Yeah, of course.
Higher up the pitch.
Yeah, because the idea is it drags there because now the left back and the right back got a dilemma. They're going, do we go inside and with them, or do we not?
Yeah.
And then if they go inside and with them, that opens up your fullback areas.
So who are the best fullback solutions in this England setup that we've currently got to be able to do that?
O'Reilly, because he's so good going forwards, when he's on blob and he's had a really good season for that. A little bit green still defensively. You expect that. Another youngster, real young player. The right back's been a problem for obvious reasons with the injuries. I was surprised Jed Spence has made the squad. Not because he's not a good player, but I just was surprised. But I would have went with him for this game because you've got to find out, can you do it? The game of...
You'd have played him last night at right back.
Yeah. Because just to say, go on, then can you do it? Can you do it for us? As it happens, he might have to do it. But for me, it'd still be round pegs and round holes. I get the idea of moving players all over and maybe, suggestive of a midfield playing right back and all that sort of stuff. But it'd be round pegs and round holes for me, and he is a fullback. And if he's there, why are you not picking him? If I'm the manager, I'm going, well, you shouldn't have picked him then if you're not going to put him in your team when he's naturally a fullback. And you're going to put someone who's not a fullback in the team. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That would be my fault as a manager. I'd be taking that on my head.
From a defensive point of view, we've had 3 games and we've changed that back line in every single one of those games. Is that a concern for you as well, that we don't have, it seems, like an established back line?
Yeah, I was surprised Maguire wasn't there, not only because he's had such a strong finish to the season, but his experience, and he's been there, seen it, done it. I was surprised maybe... I look at it differently as a squad. I'm not talking about developing for the next tournament. I'm about trying to win this one.
Yeah.
So sure for me, even Trippier. Now, let me make it clear before everyone starts getting on me because he's my mate. So they all know I love Trips. But their experience, they've been there, seen it, done it. They can handle it. If you need them, they can handle it. I know Henderson's there, by the way, which you rightly said to me, reminded me of. Pickford's there, of course, with his experience. Kane's there with his experience. But I think a couple of them experienced guys. And
Maguire, obviously.
Not that he was going to play right back, by the way, but I'm forgetting about the right back situation. Okay. I would have took Maguire. He would have gone with my squad. And the right back situation has become a problem. But you can't, you didn't know that when they started, did they? It's all of a sudden lands on you, and that's the way it goes. But yeah, for me, I was surprised at Jed Spence, but now he's there. It's my job to pick the team. It's to pick the squad. Sorry, well, me and my staff. So therefore, I'm playing a fullback because he's fullback. I wouldn't be playing someone else in the position, out of position.
But given the fact that we've had injuries in that right back position, obviously a couple of lads have fallen out with Livramento, and you've got Chalobah that came in, and all this. Are you surprised that Trent Alexander-Arnold's not been given the call?
Yeah, well, he's another one, isn't he? Yeah, you're right. It's a fair shout. The challenge you have, and this is what I try and get this across to fans all the time when they ask me about these things. You don't know what's in the camp. You don't know the phone calls. You don't know, what was said. You don't know who says what. In the build-up to this, what's the manager saying to the players? What the players feeding back? Players, it's changed now. We presuppose, right, when I was younger, and I know Piercy well, right? If you get a call to play for him, you are playing. End of story. You're wearing the 3 lions on your chest with pride, and you're going through anything the manager says. You're doing it, and you're getting on with it. Footballers have changed. They have a voice back now. They have an opinion back. It's like, I'll have a think about it. I'll speak to my agent and all that. So, that's how it's changed. And
World Cup.
Well, I've got to tell you this, right? And I try and explain this all the time on this show because I enjoy doing this and I enjoy our listeners and their feedback and everything. I mean that sincerely. I really enjoyed doing it. But if you get what I mean, you've got to understand that that's how football's changed. I'm not going to go anywhere. This life's changed like this. Society's changed like that. Everyone's feedback. Everyone's a chance to give you a reason. Everyone's, why aren't I involved? Why aren't I involved in the process? what I'm saying is, when I was younger, and I speak to Piercy about this, and Desi Walker and all them guys who were legends growing up for me, they're like, no, the manager rings me, I'm going. End of, I'm playing. If he wants me to play left, if he wants to play right back, and Piercy couldn't even swing his right leg, if he wants me to play right, I'm playing right back. No, do you get what I mean? I just think it's changed. I'm not going to go at anyone I'm not before and clickbait.
There's a negotiation period.
As I go at modern players, I'm not. It's just society's changed. Yeah, it's more like a negotiation now. So that, for me, I don't know what happened in that. Let's call it a negotiation for now, for this show. Yeah. I don't know what happened in that negotiation. For all I know, he did ring Trent Alexander. He might have gone, if I'm not going to play, blah, blah, blah.
If I'm going to be on the bench,
we had the famous Ben White one, didn't we, a few years ago?
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen for me. I'm not having to go at him. He's done a brilliant season, all that, but it doesn't happen for me. If I'm asked to play for him, I'm playing. If I pull out with the coach, if the coach leaves me out, I go, all right, coach, you're the coach. I'm going to get on with it because I'm playing for my country. But that's just me, innit? That's just my opinion.
Get your calls in. We're going to take some calls. 03717 22 3344. There's a lot to discuss off the back of the group stages. Do you think the rest of the world fear England off the back of the 3 games that we've seen so far? What changes would you make going forward ahead of Wednesday's game with Congo? Get stuck in. 03717 22 3344. You listen to talkSPORT.
Ronaldo is top, still top. But Haaland, for instance, is a better finisher.
Let me ask you this. In world football, I said this, Bentley, on yesterday's show, and I got a little bit of criticism. In his pomp, right? I'll ask you both. I'll start with Bentley.
I heard it.
I said R9 is a better finisher than Cristiano Ronaldo. He's a better striker, number 9.
Do you know what you said, right? And you said he was a better goal scorer.
Okay.
Right. Now, for me, R9 is a better centre forward. Like, I don't think it's even close. Right. But what people will do is look at the numbers. And this is where sometimes stats-wise, like the new generation will go, if I say R9's better than Ronaldo, Cristiano, they're going to go, are you crazy? He's got 1,000 goals. But sometimes it's not about just stats. It's about what does your eyes tell you. And anyone who's watched it, you would have watched him. R9 is the best centre forward I've ever seen.
R9, for me, that's my hero. He is... That's why I wanted to become a striker. You look at him, and Ronaldo has done absolutely magnificent. Yeah, and Ronaldo, it's all about numbers and goal scoring, and he's obsessed with that, and that makes him so good. But R9 is just phenomenal. He's just incredible.
Better.
Oh yeah, as a footballer,
so
much more
agree with
natural.
me on that.
Yeah, but you said because the way you said goal scorer. Yeah. Now you can't compare the numbers because Ronaldo's numbers are crazy.
You know what I mean? Like a better player.
He's a better player. Yeah. He's a better player. He's the things that he used to do, picking up the ball and dribbling. The goals that he scored for Barcelona. Oh my God! If he didn't injure himself with his knee
twice.
Oh my God!
So can I say, because they'll clip this and stick it out there, right?
It's the World Cup weekender on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Sean Dyche is alongside me. Get your calls in 03717 223344, as well as obviously speaking about England extensively on this afternoon's programme. We will speak a little bit about Scotland too. Obviously, Steve Clarke resigned last night as Scotland manager off the back of getting them to 3 major tournaments. What's your thoughts on that, Scotland fans? 03717 223344. You ready? You ready for... Let's get stuck in, man.
Go on.
Let's do it. Here's Ishan. Ishan, how are you, mate?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Very well indeed. What do you want to say, mate?
Good. I just want to talk about England. I'm worried about the depth in the team, more defensively, and the wingers really, and the creativity against the low block.
Go on then. What do you mean? You're worried about it?
I think when we come against a team, obviously the low block, we're struggling to obviously break it down. And I think we might get a bit found out in the next round. Obviously against Panama, I felt that if it wasn't for Bellingham, we could have been squeaky bum time, really.
Did you catch that?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. I mean, if you want me to go for it, the wide players, I think we've got some very good wide players. The low block is hard to break down anyway, by the way, across sport, across football, that is. Cape Verde are obviously showing that, being the biggest example of it. And it is something that is problematic for the attacking team. On the other hand, sometimes it's as simple as loading the box. I mean, you saw the cross yesterday, right? Kane's got the best I've seen it. He sees it quicker than everyone else. If you watch his movement, the cross comes in, he's seeing the cross quicker, the flight of it, where it's going to land. He steps to his left, to his right, gets in front of his mark, or in front enough, that is. Throws it out, he'll certainly head the ball, scores a great goal. There's nothing wrong with loading the box. And I mean, just putting doubt in their mind. If you look in the first game, we started loading the box late in the game, and they sort of get this, it dismantles the back four, because you've got to find a way of breaking the block. If you can do it with precision football, great, but that is very, very difficult. So sometimes you've got to rely on the simplicity of the game. Get crosses in, load the box, and go and ask as many questions as possible.
I've got some questions on that for you in a minute.
Good.
But whilst we are taking these calls, it's all in association with Sky Bet.
Football form roundup on talkSPORT with Sky Bet. The world's gone football. Get in on it with Sky Bet. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
You just mentioned there about loading the box, right? And being able to beat that low block. When most fans would analyse this particular England squad that is at the World Cup, there doesn't seem to be a point of difference to be able to change the game. It's a lot of like-for-like plays. When we're making substitutions, pace, power, lots of that type of stuff. Do you think we are missing that little bit of creativity in the number 10 spot in order to be able to, that little pass around the sides and stuff like that, rather than being able to cross the ball in from the sides? Are we missing some of that creativity at number 10?
It's a tough call because, we've just been on about it, right, with Bellingham. Now, you could argue at the moment he's our strongest player. Well, he plays, let's call it, at number 10. Well, you wouldn't take him out, would you?
No.
So do you get what I mean? So
could you play him deeper at 8, running into those spaces?
You could, but then who'd you put in the 10? So do you get what I mean? So it's not easy. The number 10 role, or the number 10 is grown in. It's like it's the kudos over the years. You know what I mean? That role. But you still got players in the wide areas. Saka can find moments for that. I know, forget an injury. I know he's coming through an injury and maybe not as fit as we'd hope and all that. But you know what I mean? He can unlock it. Look at him for Arsenal. You've got to remember that. Of course, it's the World Cup, right? Let me remind people it's the World Cup, and these teams are good. They're often not as good, as some of the Premier League sides that these guys come against. So later in the tournament, that's different. But with all due respect, in these early stages, you know, with the rounds, and some of these guys, so you're not telling me that Saka can't do that, 'cause he can. Madueke can do it, you know what I mean? Rashford in a different way. Rashford with his directness, but he can probably smell a goal better. And Gordon as well. But like I say, Gordon's had a lot on with his move and all stuff like this. We have got players to do it. What I'm saying is, if that's not working, what do you keep doing then? Is it just, you know, it just sticks to plan A and we do plan A better? And it's all right saying that, but it's not that easy to do it. Sometimes there's nothing wrong, you know. There's nothing against just loading the box and going asking as many questions. Centre halves will tell you it's a nightmare when you have centre forwards who run long and stretch the pitch and crosses coming into your box. It is a nightmare. So that's what they can do more, I think. If plan A isn't working, let's call it method football. You know, lots of passing, lots of rotation, lots of movement, trying, as you're talking, to almost pick the pocket, you know, go through little gaps and score beautiful goals. If that isn't working, there is nothing wrong with going and asking as many questions as possible. And yes, it was a great example. We scored 2 goals from 2 set piece and a corner, cross, sorry. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with
absolutely
and then hitting the goal? There's nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean?
You just mentioned something there about the things that defenders don't like regarding strikers going long as well. Kane isn't that guy really to be going long.
No, but that's when we mentioned earlier in the show about Bellingham then breaking the line, or the wide players, because Saka can dip.
Well, would you bring in Watkins as well, maybe to play alongside of Kane?
Yeah, I mean, he can. Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, but we were talking about this the other day, but the debate on what will come round. I'm telling you, the next year's will be 4-4-2. It'll come back round. And 2 strikers, 2 out-and-out strikers. And all it'll be.
I'd love that, man.
I know, and all it'll be is one. No, but you've got to remember, whenever I bring these subjects up, because it's me, people go, oh, yeah, he would say that. It will be the future, but not the immediate.
I love that. The future is 4-4-2.
I'm telling you, I got asked many years ago by Henry Winter. He said, what do you think the future of the game is? I'm going to blow a bit of smoke at myself here. This is 10 or so years ago. I was at Burnley, and I said, pressing is the new passing. And he wrote a bit about it. And then 5 years later, he said, what's the next step? And I said, health and well-being. And he went, are you kidding me? I said, no. I said, it won't be on the pitch. It'll be off the pitch. Now, I think that's not far off, in my opinion. So I'm going to give myself a little pat on the back.
So you're going for 3 for 3 now?
Free pat on the back. Yeah, 3 for 3. A slam dunk. My 3-pointer. I'm going to go for 4-4-2. But I remind you of this. It'll be a variance of 4-4-2. I'm not just talking about 2 centre-forwards kicking up to the big man. I'm not on about that, which everyone will presuppose I am. I'm not. But the rotation of 2 centre-forwards, the link play of 2 centre-forwards. Do you remember Cole and Dwight York at Man U?
Yes.
Now, you're not telling me that they were playing as literally 2 big target men. Of course they were. Look at the
10.
clever. Yeah, because York, more than Cole, had come off into the 10. But then he'd go and join in the front line, and they were electric. Do you remember the foot overs, you know, little jacks, awesome. Then it runs through the legs. They were unplayable for a time. So I'm on about that variance of a 4-2. I'm not on about big man, small man, kick it up.
Beardsley and Cole used to do that at Newcastle as well, didn't they?
Yeah. Simon Kenny Dalglish was probably the original number 10 without being a number 10, you know. He used to come off the front, get turned, rush and stretch the pitch.
Yeah.
It's not that.
So going back to that is what.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it's not back to it. It's like fashion, isn't it? When they go back to something, they can reinvent it.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? So it won't be as literal as what we're remembering. It'll be a variance of it. But I think it'll come back round. That's my point. And so back to your point is certain stage of a game. Why couldn't you lob 2 centre-forwards? Or Watkins run off the shoulder and Kane dropping into the pocket, you know, more. Because Kane does it anyway. I'm not saying I'd start with that, but during a game, there's nothing wrong with thinking, right, let's go and stretch it, which Watkins does, let's say, more simply because of his pace and his directness. Yep. And then that brings Kane in like a number 10. And Kane's a bright player. I mean, he'd know how to drop onto the midfield player and all that, you know, out of possession. So I think that's a variation that could be used. I'm not saying I wouldn't start with it because I'd stick with me Bellingham and Kane. But during a game, I might go, do you know what? This game needs us to stretch the pitch with more urgency. And that would be where I'd change it.
Mark, welcome to the show, mate. Where are you at?
Hello, boys. How are you? I'm in Walthamstow.
Come on,
Not too far from where our great man Harry Kane was born.
Go on. What do you want to talk about, buddy?
Well, I don't know. From what I'm hearing from Sean, I've got a question for you. Is Big Sam the future? From what you're saying, you reckon we'd win the World Cup if we had Sam?
You know what I mean? There's always one. There always is one. I called it, and guess what? The first caller is jumping on that. I mean, come on, you're better than that. What listens better than that. I know they are. Do
you know what? Do you know what? I thought when Tuchel came in, I thought this is perfect. We've got everything Southgate's built, all the foundations, the togetherness, the connection with the country and everything. Add a bit of tactical, smartness and everything on top of that. But a year or two ago, I thought England had a really, really good squad. We had loads of young players coming through. It was all quite exciting. But actually, have we massively overhyped it? Like when you look at that front line, Kane's class, I don't think there's any doubt in that. Rashford looked way better than Gordon last night. But he's miles off Dembele, isn't he? I didn't think Saka looked fit. He didn't offer that much. Madueke's all right, but nobody's unlocking anything. Nobody's actually that sharp. I feel like we're all right. We'll probably get to the quarters and Vinny Jr. will unlock us. But is that unfair?
I don't think it's unfair, but I think most people were actually tipping us for about the quarters anyway. You look at a lot of people in football going, well, I think we're around that mark. The quarters, maybe a semi, maybe we can win it. But then you could say maybe lots of teams can win it. Well, not lots, but, there's 6 or 7, 8 maybe that you go, well, they could win it. So I don't think your point is unfair at all. I just think that it's a tournament where everyone's eyes are suddenly on every player. Because these players, when you see them for their clubs, you're going, oh, well, brilliant. They're brilliant players. They can unlock the door. They can do this. They can do that. But you got, 98 minutes in every game to do that, to unlock the door. And you've got to do it. Whereas when you see, like, Saka playing for Arsenal, you see him for 38 games a season and then Champions League and everything. You've got these little windows to see him, and it's almost like, well, go on then, get the job done. And that's really why the big players become the biggest players, because they do it. They do it in these big occasions, these big tournaments. So we are waiting for our players to become the big players, to become the ones that make a difference. And now Kane's the obvious one, and I think everyone in the world would agree, currently arguably in the top clutch of top strikers in the world. So he's a given, I think. But then you look around the West, and I agree, these are really top players, but they're not, do you know what I mean? They're not the defining players, some of these, but they might become it, but they're getting closer. But I will argue some of these are very good players. So I'm not too worried about the rounds. As I said at the beginning, the first game I thought second half we were excellent, but that was a team that let you play more because they want to play. Croatia, they're more open. Very tough in the next game to try and break it down, as he's talking about, the low block and all that sort of stuff. And then Panama's similar but different. It's not that easy, to just go out there and break a low block. Everyone keeps talking about it as if, like, you just go, why aren't they doing this and why aren't they doing that? Well, they're trying. So it's not that easy. So I don't think it would be an extraordinary event if we did make the quarters and didn't go any further. I want us to go further, let me make that clear. Desperate for us to go and win it, of course. Are we better than making the quarters? Yes, I believe we are. But you've still got to turn up. And so we just need some of these players to turn up with their absolute A game at the right time. And so do all these other countries, but they're all looking for the same thing.
Keep your calls coming. 03717 22 33 44. That was a look. Obviously, it's the last night's game against Panama. All thanks to Sky Bet. You've got to be over 18. Gambleaware.org.
Football Form Roundup on talkSPORT with Sky Bet. Download the Sky Bet app and get in on it with Sky Bet. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Listen, I love him. And people have asked me, would I take him at Arsenal? 100%. But you look at the last 2 seasons, Real Madrid, and then you look at the last 2 seasons for PSG, the 2 Champions Leagues. They were chasing the Champions League for so long. He moves out. They win back-to-back. It just doesn't look well on Mbappe, does it?
You could say that he's responsible for that. But in the meantime, when you see what Luis Enrique, the Paris Saint-Germain manager, has changed, the way the team has changed, the unity, everybody is playing for each other, they're fighting for each other, on the pitch. And that's why, in every team they have met, they're beating because of that. They have the quality, but they show, real mentality, unity all together, the togetherness, But Kylian Mbappe, I think I won't be the guy who will say that he's the one or responsible for the mess at Madrid. I think if you have Mbappe in your team, you are in a good position to win something. Yeah. It depends as well of other players. The ego of players, in Madrid is so huge and devastating. In the dressing room.
Is he the best player on the planet?
Actually,
yeah.
I won't say that. He's one of them.
Who is?
This season, or you're saying
right now? If you're going to maybe write a list of your top 5 players, who would be number 1 best player in the world right now?
I really love Olise. He's been amazing for Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
And the way he entered into the national team without any
These games are coming thick and fast in the World Cup, of course. The round of 32 gets cracking a little bit later on. South Africa versus Canada. And then on to tomorrow where Brazil and Japan... Do you know something? That Brazil-Japan game will actually be quite tasty. I like Japan.
Yeah.
I like the way that they go about playing football.
Like an outsider. I put Japan as an outsider, but Japan and Mexico, I think, are my outsiders. I mean, they are long shots, but I think that'll be a tough game.
Best game tomorrow, though, mate, is Netherlands-Morocco.
We've got the games.
That's my little low-key one for tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's low-key, actually, is it? Because, I mean... Netherlands is, I think this is right, the biggest powerhouse nation to never win it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Nearly got there a couple of times in the 70s. We missed the Cruyff and what have you.
I think I agree. I think that's a good game. That'll be a technical game, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All live on talkSPORT. All these games are live on talkSPORT.
Yeah.
You already know that, but obviously make sure you're across that tonight and tomorrow as well before we head on in towards Wednesday where England are taking on Congo. You're listening to the World Cup Weekender. I'm Adam Catterall, Sean Dyche alongside me. 03717 22 33 44. Taking your calls. Are you anticipating Congo to offer a similar challenge to what we've already faced in the 3 games?
Yeah, I think it'd be similar.
As in
strong, fit, and organised.
2 banks or whatever.
Yeah.
Big athletic lads trying to catch us on the break.
Playing strong, but fair play to them. I'm certainly not knocking it, and I know you're not. I think. I mean, you've got to. Transition's important. Don't forget in these games because the suggestion is how do you break the block? Well, usually you've got to open the pitch up. When you do that, of course, you are then more prone to the counter. So, do you know what I mean? Transition's so important. I think that's where people like Elliot Anderson, they can smell it, well. He gets it. He gets to things so quick, Elliot, that if they do break on the counter, bang. Declan Rice, people like can get there and go and close it down because that gives you more chance of playing with freedom to attack. Because if you've got players who can cover the problematic side of opening up, which is counter, against a deep block, low block, let's call it, then that's super helpful. If you've got that knowledge, you've got people who can deal with their breakaway and their threats and try and break down what they're going to offer, which I don't know, but I would imagine is going to be, certainly in the early part of the game, I'm going to be very surprised if Congo just come and open up and play open, free-flowing football. I think they'll be so strong, fit and organised.
I randomly found myself watching them against Uzbekistan last night. See, these are the games that the World Cup throws up. They went 1-0 down. Congo.
They weren't in trouble though, were they?
Not really.
I saw the highlights. I didn't watch it all.
Second half, just big, athletic, physical lads. But there's a bit of technicality about them. Obviously, Visser gets himself a.
They got 5. It's 5 Premier League players. I think Visser's amazing.
Yeah,
he's developed over the last 2 or 3 years. Been terrific.
But the things that we were talking about earlier on in the show, though, about the uncertainty of our defence, the structure there, and what have you. Congo would fancy that. Congo, I think, would look at us and go, if we stay in this game for 60 minutes, we're in.
And Wissassoni can do that in the Prem, don't forget. In a side like Brentford, where they do have to defend at times, they have had to, work as a team. And he has had to step there on his own quite a bit, but he can still do it. He can still find the runs, still find... So, by no means... Look, to be fair to the coverage, if you like, of this tournament and England, I think it has been a bit lighter than the last few tournaments, I think, which is good for the team. I think, in a good way.
Yeah.
And like with the callers so far, if you think they're just questioning it, they're not really, hammering anyone. They're just talking, can we do this? Can we do it? I think there's a better feel about it.
There's a realistic expectation of where we are.
And I think the progression and all that, and a realism over the opposition as well now. I think this tournament's been good for that because of these surprise packages. I mean, hang on a minute. You can't... It's not that easy football, I've been inside of it, and it ain't that easy. Trust me. I always say the hardest fight to win is the one you're supposed to. So when you're playing some of these teams and pressure's on you, that's a different kind of pressure than when you're playing the superpowers. If you're playing Argentina, the freedom comes, doesn't it? Because even the nation go, it's a free hit. Yeah, it's a free hit sort of thing. That mentality. It's not that, but you know what I mean. But you're playing these guys, and they go, well, we should beat these. And you go, yeah, it ain't that easy. So it's going to be interesting.
Jonathan, welcome to the show, mate. How are you?
How are you doing, Cathy? Johnny Lincoln.
Oh, check this out, right? ER, you're going to love this.
Sorry, I've just got my cans on yet.
This kid's from Blackburn.
Oh.
Right, so we're doubling up on you. Listen, Don't give him too much abuse, mate, because he's got bragging rights over us. He's done us multiple times over the years, hasn't he? Go on, John. What do you want to talk about, lad?
Did he put the chicken on the pitch?
He might have done. He might have thrown. Yeah, he might have thrown.
Definitely not me.
Yeah, not all the listeners would know that, but yeah.
Go on. What you want to talk about, Johnny?
I think we're overcomplicating it with obviously the fullback situation. I think for me the easiest solution would be put Concert at right back, put Stones back in with Gay, and then also if Congo going to play low block, I'd be tempted to play with the Rodgers, Bellingham, and Anderson, or Rice if he's back fit and not defensive, and then you've got both sides of it. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, look, the combination's a fair point. You know, Cons has played a bit there for Villa. Stones with his experience. I'm surprised Stones didn't play, actually, just to make sure he's sharp and, as fit as he can be.
You mentioned Jed Spence though earlier on.
Yeah, no,
he's a right back.
No, I was going to go back to that. Yeah, so, I was mentioning earlier that if it's on my watch and my squad, then I don't think, why have you got a right back there if you're not going to play him?
Yeah.
I don't understand that part of it, because you've got the belief into taking him to the tournament in the first place. So... And I like round pegs and round holes personally. I'd play as many players when it's natural to him, and especially the bigger the game, you just want to know your role.
Yeah.
So Jed Spence must know his role as a fullback for obvious reasons. But it's not a bad shout. Conzo, I know he can do it. He's quite a flexible player. He's quick. He moves well for a centre half. You certainly add into your physicality as well. And if it is a low block, set pieces become important. We've all seen the Arsenal story, especially from Christmas onwards, but all season, but particularly Christmas onwards. Look, you've got to find a way to win. That's what people forget sometimes. Why aren't you winning this way? Why aren't you winning that way? Win. That's the first thing we've got to remember is win. So, yeah, it's not a bad shout. I mean, look, there's a number of options, but Cons are going out there, Stones coming in. Like I say, you improve your physicality, strong, fit and organised. And you should still have enough with the attackers we've got, with the wide players we've got. But I think it just seems a strange one to me. If you've got a full-back, then why when you're playing them?
Johnny just mentioned Morgan Rogers. What do you make of his performance last night?
Yeah, a bit quiet, but yeah, again, he's not as deep in his experience for England, is he? You know what I mean? So you're looking for that freedom to play, but it's not that easy. Yeah, again, you get tight, don't you? And it's new players, different ways of playing. When you're playing in your club side, it's familiar to you, and you know the runs and riders.
Is it difficult from his point of view? He probably wants to do a very similar thing that what Jude Bellingham's doing.
Yeah.
So is that a difficult thing for him to be able to understand when to and when not to do if he's not used to doing it? Because at Villa, he's the guy, isn't it?
Yeah, and they only get so much time to work with these players, and so much time, hands-on coaching time and the connections that are needed. I think he's a very good player and a super strong season, but I still prefer that three. That would be my three, and I'd try and keep that three together with Declan Rice and Elliot Anderson and Bellingham. That would be my three.
Yeah,
that'd be my go-to. Now that doesn't mean the others don't get a look in, because like I said, you can argue one and the two go in front, or you might have to change during a game. But I'd keep that three as the heartbeat of my team personally.
Keep your calls coming. 03717 22 33 44. It's the World Cup weekender on talkSPORT.
What have you made of Stevie Clarke? He's come under the spotlight for how he's handled the journalists. He's come under the spotlight how he's set up Scotland, certainly in the second game as well. And some people have even questioned why he's had his term there extended before this World Cup. What do you make of that?
Well, Stevie Clarke, I played against him, and I know him, and he's not a Jose, he's a very quiet guy, to be honest. And you have to look at what he's achieved as Scotland manager. It's brilliant, absolutely up there with the best. So. People have got to realise in the press, I know the press getting on this, this storm of the fans and the Tartan Army and we party and all that, but the press have got to realise, where our players play, who they play for in the big league and the World League. And we've done well to get there. We could have qualified, and I don't think we will. I think Steve Clarke's been frank and he's been honest. And I think he's right. There's too many permutations against us which is going to, again, we're going to be crying losers. Oh, if only. I had it in 82. We should have beaten Russia in the final game. We drew 2-2 because we conceded 2 goals against New Zealand first game, 15th of June. So we knew it was going to be tough. And that was a side with Souness, Hansen, Dalglish, Strachan, etc. It was a John Robertson. Great side. It's not easy when you get the big league. And, the final stages, and I'm afraid we're just going to be, once again, we're just going to fall short. But it's a shame because the punters are brilliant. But I think the press have got to look at themselves and say, we're a small nation. We maybe have underachieved again. But thinking about it, looking at what Steve Clarke's done, he's not flamboyant. He's not charismatic. Excuse me. He's not giving it. He doesn't like doing press conferences. It's quite simple.
In a century of World Cups, it's not just the football that's changed. Stadiums have gone from concrete behemoths to technological marvels, and the giant monolithic arenas help to define tournaments. Back in 1930, the world embraced its greatest spectacle for the first time. Uruguay was the host, and in just 90 days, they built a stadium that's still there today. It was a gargantuan effort to pull together the 90,000 capacity Estadio Centenario, one of only 3 venues for that tournament, that would act as a monument to 100 years of Uruguayan independence. If that was the World Cup's birthplace, Mexico City's Estadio Azteca became its cathedral. Some of the World Cup's most iconic moments happened on this grass, including this, of course. Also, both Pelé and Maradona lifted the trophy in the Azteca. A bit of pub quiz ammo for you there. You're welcome. In England, there's no more special place to us than Wembley, the scene of our greatest triumph. And yes, it definitely was a goal. Some incredible stadiums across the world have hosted matches, but you don't have to have a modern-day spaceship of a ground to make it memorable. Take 2006, for example, and here. The memories of what happened at Berlin's Olympiastadion show events on the pitch can elevate a stadium in the minds of fans worldwide. But that doesn't stop us from marvelling at modern triumphs of engineering. Let's jump ahead to Qatar and take a look at this, the Lusail Stadium. This gorgeous golden bowl hosted the frankly unbelievable final in 2022. But that's not where it ends in Qatar. Take Stadium 974, for example. This place was built from shipping containers and can be taken down and built somewhere else. Mad. It's crazy to think that we've gone from building giant concrete bowls to what is basically modern art. To be fair, some concrete bowls, like the Maracanã, are art in its most flawless form. The teams and the players are why we all come, but sometimes the stage they perform on ends up being the main character. And with structures like this, it's hardly a surprise.
You're listening to the World Cup Weekender with me, Adam Catterall, and former Forest, Everton, Burnley manager Sean Dyche alongside me, taking your calls on 03717 22 3344. Before we get stuck back into the football and previewing tonight's round of 32 game between South Africa and Canada, let's get a little bit of noise from around the world of sport. Reporter Tom Clayton is across the Austrian Grand Prix in the Formula One. What's the latest, mate?
Good afternoon, chaps. Yeah, lap number 1 of this Austrian Grand Prix. We're just away from the start line. George Russell, who took a controversial pole position yesterday for not slowing down during the qualifying session after a crash, he managed to get it on pole anyway, and he leads at the end of lap number 1. The 2 Ferraris are second and third, but Lewis Hamilton's gone from third into second, so ahead of his teammate. And then Kimi Antonelli, the championship leader, is down in 4th place. 71 laps of this this Austrian Grand Prix this afternoon. The hills are alive in the Styrian Mountains for this, the Austrian Grand Prix.
Look at that picture painting from Tom. Super stuff. Let's get up to date with the cricket, shall we? Will Hobbs is across England versus New Zealand. Will, what's the latest?
Yeah, fascinating day for this, Adam. Ben Stokes and his bowlers toiling away manfully and consistently with the series on a knife edge, but New Zealand have been resolute in tricky batting conditions and remain in charge. Just the 1 wicket so far today. Shoaib Bashir, penultimate over before lunch. He got one to skid and trap Rachin Ravindra, LBW for 94. In truth, New Zealand may already have enough runs. Daryl Mitchell's hunkered down grittily for 49, and his partner Tom Blundell on 9 somehow survived the ball from Stokes that barely got off the ground. It snuck under his bat, skated past the stumps beyond Jamie Smith, who was standing up. 438 all out New Zealand in the first innings, 196 for 4 in the second. They lead England by 280 runs, and barring a Bazball remontada miracle, New Zealand heavy favourites to win the series.
Top stuff, Will. Thank you very much, mate. This is the World Cup weekend. They're on talkSPORT. Time now for the big match build-up with Village Hotels.
talkSPORT's big match build-up with Village Hotels. Watch the big games live in the pub and grill at your local Village Hotel. Find your nearest at villagehotels.com.
A bit of a history-making moment for both of these teams tonight in the round of 32, South Africa versus Canada. They've reached the knockout stages of a World Cup for the first time in their history. Change your mentality. Listen, you've been here. You've done league format football. You've done knockout format football. Is there a mentality shift?
Yeah, I mean, it's tremendous for both these teams. We know that. Awful the one that loses, because, it's like someone's going to be a massive hero and someone's not. But to get there has been incredible, I think. Tournament football, it is different, and the turning up aspect, that's the key. I was talking recently about collective downtime. How do you stop collective downtime from happening? So therefore, you're in the dressing room, you sense something's not right. Do you bring it up and make them all nervous? Because for all you know, they might go, why so no? I feel all right. Or do you not bring it up? And then they go together in and you put
this is your job. You're the gaffer.
Absolutely. I'm just trying to explain how tricky it can be. The reason I'm bringing that up is because these two sides are going to sit there and the manager's going to be thinking, right, well, how do we go about this? Do we build it up? Do we keep it calm? Do we go low-key? Do we go high level? Do we go reinforcing the positives? Do we go... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it means so much to these. It means so much to everyone. But in this particular, when you've got to these rounds for the first time ever,
and Canada are one of the home nations as well.
Yeah, of course,
going to be extra
of
stresses
course.
There, aren't there?
Yeah, of course, and that maybe plays into their favour for this one. So I don't know enough about the individuals within the teams, but I know the sort of feel of these groups, and I think their managers will be going, and their staff, and the players somewhat. Do we build it up? Do we not build it up? Do we keep it the same? Do we keep it normal? Do we keep it as if it's just another game? And just trying to not let that collective downtime occur. It's a nightmare when that, you can sense it normally before the game, or certainly in the early part of the game. So one of these two will be looking to not let that happen, or their management team, get them ready. So when the whistle blows, they're on fire and they go in. Well, one of them's got to win, obviously.
Given the lack of experience at this stage of a major knockout tournament, are you anticipating maybe a bit of a cagey game? Because as you just said there's big ramifications. One mistake here, you could be on your way home.
Yeah, you'd be surprised, wouldn't you? Look, you never know. I mean, football throws the funniest things out there. And you've often seen managers afterwards. I've done it myself, when they go, I didn't actually plan on that happening.
They've just gone for it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But I would be surprised. I would think both teams are going to go out pretty cagey in the early part. It's almost like, I'm not into boxing so much, but you imagine with them fights when they're almost working each other out. You know what I mean? They're looking at each other, working each, sussing it, And football can be like that. We saw it with England. I thought the first game was a bit like against Croatia. Not quite. They were wrong with it. Not too great. Croatia not that great. We weren't that great. Sort of almost sussing out, working out. And then second half, as they said, the handbrake's off. Which another thing I laughed at, because what happens if that goes wrong and they say, well, Ollie Evers' handbrake's off, why didn't they give us any tactical information, for example? That's the toughness of the job right there, and that's what these managers and the players have got to go through in this game.
As a manager at this stage of a tournament, are you looking towards one, maybe two of your players to be brave in really big moments?
Oh yeah.
When I say that, I mean,
you want
take the risk.
Yeah, you want the leaders in the dressing room to not only be leaders as in the way they go about it, but to perform. You want your big players to turn up. One player can be the catalyst.
Yeah.
One big player can be the catalyst for the players around them, and they grow. It's a strange thing to try and explain to everyone listening, but look, that player almost can give belief to others just by the way they go around it. About their business. So if you're playing next to a top player and they're playing, it doesn't half give you strength. Do you know what I mean? And I think if our top players perform, I mean, going off the game, with Canada, if our top players turn up for England, I think it gives us a lot of strength. I think players around them will just grow.
Because you've got to hit that level. He's doing it, so I've got to grow like he's growing.
The belief. It's like I used to describe to the players when I work with different teams, but it's like the pebble in the pond. It ripples go out. If you've got one who's delivering, that effect starts to ripple out.
Yeah.
Bellingham, people like that become a catalyst. They rub off another. Kane, of course. I mean, he's been doing it for years. And sometimes it's the one that surprises you. The one that just turns out and they go bang, and you go, wow. It has a profound effect on the other players. That's what you need, I think, to go and win it. In any game, but certainly if you're on about winning the whole tournament. But they're going to need, going back to the point with Canada and South Africa, their version of their top players, they're going to need them to perform, and that's often the difference.
Major opportunity for the pair of them. Like I said, they've never been in these knockout stages before. One of them's going to go on into the last 16. So this is the beautiful thing about this game. I know that I was critical at the start of the World Cup about expanding it and having all these teams and what have you, but moments like this can really be a fantastic. You're talking about catalyst there. Could be a fantastic catalyst for the actual game within that nation. If they get through to the round of 16, one of these nations, then you would anticipate that the little lads, little girls around their nation are all in, and then they might fall in love with the game of football.
Yeah, the growth in it. I mean, Cape Verde playing Argentina. I mean, I know.
Playing against Messi.
Yeah. And you got Cape Verde, tiny little, place and all that business, all the noise around it. What was it? The goalkeeper got 15 million followers or something.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So, but that might ripple effect. Now, I'm not suggesting they're going to become a superpower overnight, but
it inspires the kids back on to come
and it's good because we want them inspired by them stories, not by players diving and rolling around tonight, which drives me mad, as you know. But I'm not going to go on about it because it drives me crackers. No one seems to worry about that. But the good story, the healthy story of these small nations going on and progressing. And I agree. I wasn't knocking it, but I was, when I saw the format and all these teams and more teams, I go, oh, come on. What's the point? They're not ready, some of these nations. But how do you get ready? You get ready by going into the tournament. And they're showing they're getting ready. They're showing these nations they are growing, they are improving, they are developing, and these stories can only help rub off on them little kids we were talking earlier, 1982. And I'm going to go on about this again because I go about all the time. Every kid everywhere in the world should watch Tardelli's goal and the way he celebrates. Every kid should watch that.
That's pure passion.
If I was in a club now in an academy, the first meeting I ever did, I go, right, watch this guy score a goal. That's how it feels to be a top footballer, doing top things in the top moments, because that would be the thing for me.
How many times did you recreate that on the school?
I'm not kidding. Mate, I swear... It changed my. Did
you have the bonnet as well then?
I swear this rug. Like a crush helmet. You could take, I was like a Lego man. You could take it off. Oh, I've got a Lego man, but you could take my hair off and just put it on. Hang it up when you went in the house. But no, but you get my point though. When I saw that, I swear on my life,
mine was Roger Miller.
It changed my my desire. I swear that goal and that celebration. I thought I want a piece of that. I remember being a little kid going, I want a piece of that. And I remember going out in the garden and just would play, what did it? Find a ball, get a ball, stay cool. Just bang, 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 repetitive. Because I thought I'm having a piece of that. That made me so hungry. And I'm telling you, that goal, man. I watched it the other day. I still watch it now and again. I'll just randomly be sitting, on a train or something, and I'll watch it, and it still sends hairs on the back of my neck. But that's how you should celebrate a goal. That's what it feels like. They should be promoting that, not all the silly dances and all that. Jeez, man.
Stop booking players for celebrating. Yeah, all right, shirts off and all that. No. Just enjoy it.
Yeah, I'd prefer him to get the show from buying gigs running down the pitch than doing a silly dance. Trust me.
Listen, Roger Miller and his silly dance in 1990 was mustard, mate. I love all that.
But that was different, wasn't it? It was a defining moment of such an amazing story.
Yeah, it was.
38 at the time, I think, Roger Miller.
Yes.
Was it? 38, yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, you get what I mean? It just worked. There's some things but I thought that was authentic, see. I didn't think that was pre-controlled. I think you actually just went into it. And there's a difference. You can smell authenticity. You see it and you can smell it and you can almost taste it. And that was authentic. I'm on about people doing all these contrived, stupid dance. Watch Tardelli. I'm going to keep reminding. Get your kids to go, put it on YouTube, get it on the big screen and watch Tardelli. Show your kids it.
It is pretty good. Listen, don't forget, South Africa, Canada, live on talkSPORT from 7 o'clock this evening. You can watch all the games live at the Pub and Grill at your local Village Hotel as well. Find your nearest villagehotels.com for a chance to win a Village Hotel VIP experience for the World Cup final at Village Hotel near you. Head to talksport.com/competitions.
talkSPORT's Big Match Build-Up with Village Hotels. Watch the big games live in the pub and grill at your local Village Hotel. Find your nearest at villagehotels.com.
Whilst we were talking about that, I think there's been a little bit of action at the cricket. Will Hobbs, what's been going on, mate?
Yes, there's been a big wicket. Tom Blundell, the wicketkeeper, the dangerous Blundell's gone for 18. He looked sketchy early on. He flapped an outside edge past Jacob Bethel at third slip. Then he flapped at a bouncer, which he nearly gloved behind to Jamie Smith. He whacked the next ball for 4. A couple of balls later, Archer went short again. Top edge from Blundell, soared high into the Nottingham sky, and it was snaffled, plucked brilliantly on the boundary by a tumbling Emilio Gay. The dangerous Blundell gone for 18. England need to get on a roll now, but they are into the bowlers. Daryl Mitchell, the anchorman at the other end, he's just got his 50, but Mitchell Santner's joined him at the wicket. So England needs some momentum, but Archer and Stokes, they are the men to get on a roll that England needs. So New Zealand 205 for 5, still trailing. England is still trailing New Zealand by 289 runs, but a chink of light once again.
Well, top man, thank you very much for that. We are going to continue the conversation about England and this World Cup, and obviously the knockout stages now on 03717 22 3344. But breaking news last night was that Steve Clarke, the Scotland manager, or should I say Scotland manager no more, resigned from his post. We'll pick the bones out of it next.
Bentley has been terrified all week about the Ghanaian witch doctor he slagged off.
No, he did not.
Supposedly putting a curse on Harry Kane and England's number 9, subsequently missing a sitter. Now, thankfully, the witch doctor, of course, lifted the curse.
It's funny.
Right. Now, there was a report in The Sun that you, Emmanuel, were cursed by a witch doctor.
It's Senegal.
Ignored it
2002.
and got injured.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, before the World Cup in 2002, no, after the World Cup, actually, because we went out very quickly, during the World Cup in Asia. And when I came back, I was in holidays in south of France, and I had a friend, he was selling watches, on the beach, and he was expecting me. He was waiting for me for days. And then when he saw me, he came to me straight away, and he said, I'm so happy to see you because I have something important to tell you. And I said, what is it? And he said, you have to be very careful because... you have how can I say that?
Curse?
A curse, yeah, on you, and you have to follow exactly what I'm going to tell you. And I said, what is it? He said, you have to go in Africa and you have to buy a cow and you have to kill it, and you have to follow.
Bit detailed and extreme, that one.
Yeah, but I said, listen, I understand, and I really appreciate that, but this is your traditions, and I'm not into it, so I won't do it. And 6 months later, I had to stop. But is it coincidental link? I won't say that.
Oh, so what happened to you? You got injured?
Yeah. And
they
cut my leg in 2 parts, so I had to stop playing football.
Did you get injured kicking a cow?
No.
Hold on. What part?
You're listening to talkSPORT on a Sunday afternoon. I'm Adam Catterall. Sean Dyche alongside me. We are talking football, but we're talking a lot of cricket at the moment. There's been another one. Will, what's going on there, pal? Is this a T20 game? What's going on, son?
Adam, 1 brings 2. No wicket for an hour and 55 this morning. 2 in 2 overs now. Mitchell Santner has to go for naught. Ben Stokes with a peach of a delivery that nipped off a crack on off stump and shaved the outside edge of Santner. Given not out on the field. England reviewed. The faintest of edges appeared on Snicko. England needed to get on a roll. That's what we said. That's exactly what we're doing. Archer in the last over, Stokes this over. New Zealand 205 for 6, still leading by 289 runs, but England just 4 wickets away from batting themselves.
Superb stuff. We're going to keep you across that throughout the course of the show. Now, back to football. Last night, it was announced here on talkSPORT, a bit of breaking news, that Steve Clarke has resigned from his post as Scotland manager. Before we get stuck into all of that, talkSPORT's chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, was on White and Jordan on Friday talking about this particular scenario. This is what he had to say.
Yeah, but we made the point, Simon made the point when we were last on together, what they don't want to do, Scotland, is play their way out in the early stages. They did it against Morocco, and they did it again against Brazil to a certain extent. Yeah, and yeah, the fans have been terrific. My question, and you might not see it as important, I would do because I'm a journalist, the way that Steve Clarke has represented himself in the media, I think has been a poor representation of his players, and I think he's sold those fans a disservice.
What do you think of that? Because one of the things that you were famed for throughout the course of your managerial tenures at various clubs is that you knew how to handle the media. Do you think the media handling from Steve Clarke at this particular World Cup has been his downfall?
It's very, very difficult. I think he's done a brilliant job overall, over his time. The media grows and grows and grows. The power of the media. I'm doing a bit myself, so it's a different time for me. But when you're there, honestly, the intensity of it now, it's like, I can only give you my examples. Nowhere near like the World Cup. It's just so vast, the World Cup, huge. But when I was at Everton, honestly, it felt like every word they were waiting for me to just slip up so they can smash whatever negative story, because it was such a hard time in Everton's history. And I think Steve seemed to get in that weird, like a bit negative sort of feel to what they were asking him, and maybe got a bit involved in that, because he's right what he was saying. On the one hand, you've got all these amazing stories about the fans, and then, but the team is getting sort of questions. He felt like it was just beginning to get to sort of annoy him,
How hard is it though to stay away from that? Because when you're just trying to do your best and then you're just getting battered every 2 minutes.
Yeah, and it's difficult. I've had it. It's really difficult. But you got to take a breath in. In your head, you've just got to slow down and go, right, just get the straight bat on it. Just keep straight batting it, and just don't let them crack you. You know what I mean? And I don't think Steve Clarke cracked, but he's in a corner. He's in a tough situation, because on the one hand, he's sort of getting nitpicked and sometimes hit a bit, for different decisions, different ways of playing. But if you look at the bigger picture of what he's done, I think every Scotsman would agree, a Scots person would agree, he's done a brilliant job overall. Look, I'm bound to put my manager's cap on. I protect managers the best I can. I don't think it's as easy as people making out. I think he has got a little bit involved in it and a bit negative about it all, and that's hard, and the team are not performing. I mean, the mistakes is where it kills you as a manager, when the team make mistakes. You know what I mean? You can't. How do you plan on that? It's not bad management. Someone makes mistakes, and then of course my point is you've got to argue the answer to it. Then it does land on your toes because you're the manager, and that is the downside of management. You got to answer to everything. Is the media's tough? The media is it's getting tougher. It's getting tougher.
Yeah. Is there also an element from his point of view? Will he be feeling this, right? As a fan just observing, you play Haiti first game, right? You only beat them 1-0.
I know.
And with all due respect, that it is a bit of a safety first type of performance. Yeah. Given their pre-tournament games where they've smashed a couple of teams 4-0 and what have you, fans have got excited. Hey, handbrake's going to be off here. We're going to have a go. Yeah. You play Haiti, you only beat them 1-0. Most fans would have gone, we're going to beat them a few, because Morocco and Brazil are tough. Is there a case in his head where he's looked at it and gone, I've made a bit of a mistake there. I should have let that handbrake off in the Haiti game to give us a chance.
But they're not.
Hence his attitude then towards the media, where he's a bit prickly.
I know what you mean. But the safety first way of doing it has been so successful for him in Scotland, hasn't it? If you look from when he went in there,
he's qualified for 3 major tournaments.
Yeah, exactly. And if you look at it, he was doing it from a very organised, what I would call pragmatic point of view. Get the players organised, get them in their slots, and we will try and nick games when we have to. And they've done it. So, it's hard to go, right, I'm going to stop all that. I'm going to stop what I believed in with that and change it all because we're in the World Cup. And you're playing teams who deep down you're going, actually, player for player, they're probably stronger than we are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Scotland have only got so many. Right, the top third of the pitch is the big difference. If and they've got some very good players, Scotland. I'm not sure they've got that pure cutting edge at the top, at the front of the pitch.
Well, they've relied on McTominay coming from deep, haven't they, a lot of times?
Yeah, and to have that is a huge. I mean, every manager will tell you, if you've got a front two team, you've got a chance. Whether it's one striker, two strikers, wide player, and a striker, whoever. But if you've got a front two team, a real front two team, you look at all the best.
Yeah.
We were talking about it. I'm not sure I can remember, and someone out there will have better facts than me on the World Cup, but I don't think there's many teams that have won it, without having a top striker or a top performer. A top performer as in a cutting-edge player. I don't think many teams will have won the World Cup. Now, I'm not saying Scotland were going to win the World Cup. What I'm saying is even to get through the rounds, you need that cutting edge. You need something that is the thing that will give you the front to your team. It doesn't always be a striker, but it often is. And I think they've always lacked that, or certainly under Steve Clarke's tenure, they've lacked that. So I think he's done even better in that respect by having to rely on other ways of getting goals.
There's also context, isn't there, as well? I mean, I've highlighted maybe his mistake with the handbrake of the game against Haiti. Against Morocco, you've just mentioned individual error for the offside with Grant Hanley. They should have had 2 penalties, let's be honest, in that particular game as well. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like I say, it's tough for me because it's hard for me talking about managers because I try and protect managers for obvious reasons. I'm not really one to throw managers under the bus. I think overall he's done a great job. I do understand some of the frustrations from him. I do understand the frustration of the Scottish, but some of the media stuff, I think they got carried away. The media, me with the fans, Someone's going to Steve, why isn't the team performing? You go, what? Because the fans are performing. That means we're performing. If it was that easy.
The fans were brilliant.
Exactly. The way they win the World Cup with the fans. But you got to mean they presuppose. I mean, you go, yeah, but look at the fans, and you go, yeah, but they're not playing. Yeah, what do you want me to do? The players are trying. We're trying to do our best, but just because the fans are brilliant, I mean, the players are suddenly all brilliant because the fans are brilliant.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it almost felt like he was getting almost questioned about that, which I found a bit of an head scratcher, to be fair. Not literally, by the way, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And, the inference was kind of like, why aren't you doing it then? Because the fans are. I think there was a bit of that going on.
I've got more on this in a minute. I think there's been another wicket. Cricket is flying at the moment. Will, what's going on, pal?
Adam Catterall, 3 wickets in 3 overs for England. It's Jofra Archer again. Lift and sneer at Nathan Smith. Outside edge, taking a beautiful lifter. It's catching practice for Jamie Smith, who takes it and flings it in the air in jubilation. This is reward for England. They had to be so patient this morning. Nearly 2 hours of very consistent bowling for no reward. A lot of edges beaten. Archer thought he had Mitchell in the first over of the day, remember, when he trapped him LBW. It was given on the field, but it was overturned on review. Daryl Mitchell is still there on 50, but he's rapidly running out of partners. England well and truly into the tail end of New Zealand. New Zealand 206 for 7. They still lead by 290 runs. It's still their game, but momentum well and truly with Ben Stokes' team.
Top stuff, Will. Just what you talk about regarding the Scotland fans there. They've been sensational. Yeah. I think they've lit up everywhere they've gone in Boston and in Miami, of course. And I think a lot of the take on Steve's attitude towards the media has rubbed them up a little bit because he didn't give the interview that they wanted. I think they accept that they were up against it, Scotland going into this World Cup. But because of the way that he was prickly with the media, they've thought to themselves that they were getting mugged off a little bit with these answers that were coming from those press conferences.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's not that easy, though, is it? Because you do have a responsibility, right, as a manager. First of all, your first responsibility is to yourself and the team, by the way.
Yeah.
So people sometimes forget that. So, I bet you any money, most of his thoughts will be on the team. Sort of weirdly. Now, I'm not saying it came across like this, by the way, but inside the camp will be his first concern. I've got to make sure we stay strong, the strongest we can. So I'm not saying he got that across, but, that'll be his thoughts for sure. And then the fan thing, you have got to project the right ways now, because that's the way the world is. The world of football is saying, no, you've got to be the front of the nation or the team, or a club or whatever it is. But on the other hand, you can't just bow to it. You can't just go, oh, well, I'll tell you that because you want to hear it. You've got to be true to yourself as well. You've got to be authentic and answer your questions. Now, rightly or wrongly, he's answered. Do you know what I mean? Like, it becomes non-authentic if you start playing that game where you just start delivering what you think they want to hear. Now, some managers probably do that. Loads of people in life probably do that. I didn't, and I wouldn't. I try and deliver what I think is right and correct. And I've had my fair share of stick from saying things that people do. Why is he saying that? And I go, well, because that's how I feel, and it's truth. It's honest and it's authentic. I think there's a fine line, and the football's getting harder for managers. I mean, we're going bigger picture now. I'm going bigger picture. Sorry, not you, but not just Steve Clarke. It's getting harder. The media demand now. There's so much media out there now. Everyone's looking for a clickbait. Everyone's looking for an extra. Everyone's looking for an edge and an answer. Now, like I say, I'm not totally trying to defend him, but it's not so easy when you're there and he's feeling all them emotions as well, because he'll be disappointed, don't forget. People sometimes forget that as well. But I just feel a bit for him because the whole Scottish fan thing, it's got so powerful. It's almost like, why aren't you doing your job? And he goes, well, it's not that easy.
I'm fascinated in this. Let's continue this, because I'm fascinated in the conversation of how management has changed over the years and the expectations on managers. Hold that thought. Hold it. Because
okay. No, let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah. Okay, let's do it.
03717 223344. It's the weekend sports bar-ish, kind of, in the middle of the afternoon. Stick with us.
Manchester City have agreed a £116 million deal to sign Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest. The fee, as you might have guessed, is the most ever paid for a British player and represents a new record for Manchester City. He's 23, Anderson, and has now been given permission to undertake a medical right here in New York today, with the deal subject to the finalising of personal terms. You would think that will get done quick style. Alex, Elliot Anderson, this is a remarkable rise, isn't it?
Certainly is, when you think that he went from Newcastle to Forest for a relatively modest sum. I know Eddie Howe at the time didn't particularly want to cash in, but obviously they had issues with PSR.
Yep.
It's interesting, the figures. City side are saying 116 million. Forest side are saying actually it's nearer to 130 million. Either way, it's a record, as you say, for a British player, potentially a Premier League record fee, eclipsing what Liverpool paid for Alexander Isak this time last year. I was speaking to a couple of ex-players at the darts last night, and we were pondering, if Elliot Anderson is really a £130 million player, how much would someone like Paul Scholes be worth in the current market? I think he's a terrific player, Elliot Anderson. I'm not sure he's a £130 million player.
Well, sure. He joined Forest, as Alex says, from Newcastle in a £35 million deal in 2023. So, not so long after that, we've now arrived at 116 million.
Well, brilliant business for Forest. If I'm going to my chairman...
I've got a wonderful opportunity here for you. You can win yourself £26,000 in tax-free cash. Always a winner, isn't it? For your chance to win, you can visit talksportwin.com or text the word win to 83338. You've got to do that by 6 p.m. on the 20th of July. Text will cost you £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or you can send your name and number by post to Comp1 PO Box 3190 Colchester CO2 8GP. That's going to arrive by midnight on the 23rd of July. You've got to be over 18, UK residents only. Your chance to win £26,000 in cash. Text the word win to 83338. Do it now. It's a network promotion. Full terms and conditions are available at talksportwin.com. Coming handy that for summer holidays, eh? Little trip to Ibiza with 26 bags there.
Oh, 26 bags of sand, eh?
Come on.
Lovely.
Let's have a little bit of fun with that. Continue with the conversation about management and how it has changed over the years off the back of Steve Clarke obviously stepping down as Scotland manager. How has it changed since you first came in and stepped out of the game as a player into the world of management? How has that role... I'm mainly coming at this from a media angle and from an expectation from the fans' angle. How has that changed?
I think there was a lot more in the early days, my journey in the Premier League, which is sort of 13 years, 3 different clubs in the Prem. I had Watford before that. Well, even in Watford, because that was a Championship. So the first shift, I won't bore you with it all of it, but the first shift from the Championship to the Premier League is massive. Huge shift in purely media. I mean, obviously,
of course, yeah.
You know all the other stuff, right? We're just purely on the media. Massive shift. Massive shift in you as well, your profile.
Do you get trained for that, or is it one of them? You're on the job, mate. Learn.
No, they do management licenses, which I've done, the pro license and stuff.
No, from a media management point.
I was going to say they do some media training within that as
Okay.
part of that now, because they've realised how big it is, particularly the pro license. They've realised part of it is not just on the pitch now as a manager.
Yeah.
You've got to handle everything off the pitch. Now, you can go on about media training, but most of it you learn on the job. The things you get wrong, you have to learn from. I'll tell you a couple of things, the oldest ones that I picked these up really early. Someone tipped me off about this actually. So I'll give you an example. They go, would you say, as soon as they say that, if you agree, that's it, it's quotes. So you just say, no, I wouldn't say that. What I would say is, and then they can't put it in quotes. So there's just a very quick media trick that they try and land on you. Would you say, and then they'll come up with a big sentence. You go, well, yeah, I suppose so. Next day, Dyche says, So I just go, no, I wouldn't say that. What I would say, and then I'll put it in my own language, because then they have to put what you said.
Okay.
And you still get misquoted. And then how many times do you take that on? So you get misquoted, makes a big story, clickbait, I mean, even more so. The rise in clickbait is enormous from when I first started to where it is now.
Does this frustrate you, right? Does this bit frustrate you? Because we are living in a time of clickbait. So therefore you'll get a headline, but it isn't necessarily the context of what you've said.
That's the worst bit.
And the majority of people don't actually read the story or watch the full video. They just go off the headline.
Well, the worst bit is when, and then they cane you. They like shout stuff at you and go, what are you on about? I didn't even do what I said. They come up to you in a bar and that. I go, why did you say that? And so I was like, I didn't. And they go, yeah, you did. I go, no, I didn't. I said, did you actually open it? Read it? They go, well, no. And I went, well, therefore then, what are you having a go at me for? Not many, by the way. I need to make that really clear. And I do that a lot because there's so many good people out there, good fans. This is really small percentage. You honestly, people are so good to me. I swear to you. You'd be surprised because I'm a bit Marmite, but they're so good to me. People when I meet them, very very rare. But what I'm saying is the odd one they won't have a go at you. They'll tell you something that you're meant to have said, and you go, no, I didn't. It's not the pay. It wasn't in that context, as you rightly said. But it's not just that; it's the enormity of it now. They're almost trying to throw bombs at you, almost trying to get you to say something bad. You're almost trying, not all media outlets, I must make it clear. The vision, people I prefer the TV ones. I prefer stuff like this because it's live and I know I've said it. So you can write it, but then I've already got this, recorded.
Yeah.
I could ask for the recording and then go, if I really need it, which I wouldn't do, but you know what I mean? That's different. But it's ones when, here's one for you, here's a management insight, sort of, with this how media's changed, because this is media, even though it doesn't sound it. I've had people in a bar with a phone next to me on record, and I've caught them recording it, trying to get me to say things. Oh yeah, I've had that. I've had people filming my conversation.
In your social time, you've just been out with your mates.
Yeah, so what they do, they come up to you in a bar, right? On the say you're at a bar waiting for a pint or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because I like a pint, I try and mix with everyone, And I can see the phone's on record, and then they'll ask me a question, like a loaded question, and they got it recorded. I go, mate, your phone's on record. Oh, yeah, I've had that. People trying to catch you out.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. It's awful.
Not a journalist, a normal person.
Yeah, but then, they are a journalist, aren't they? That is the media, because everyone's a journalist now. I've had people filming me at a bar. They film you and they take pictures of it. They go, why are you doing that? What are you going to do with it? I mean, one of my mates, I was in Nottingham with a group of my mates. We have curry night, me and my mates. And we met up, and my mate went, that geezer's filming you. And I went, yeah. And he went, and you can say anything? I said, no, because that makes the story. So what's the story at the moment? Me having a pint. Sean Dyche, 50-odd years old.
Loves a jalfrezi.
Yeah. And there's no story. Do you know what I mean? The story is Sean Dyche having a beer. And he goes, yeah, well, he likes me. I send off. But if I go over, it looks wrong, doesn't it? So they're going, I come over and he had a go at me and he wanted to fight me. No one's going to say come over and he was lovely, or very rarely.
Yeah.
So you just get weird people doing mad stuff. But my point is that it's sort of media. It's just not an official media. And it's constant now. So that's the hardest thing now. You just can't live. You can't live a normal life, and you have to get used to that. So you've got the main media, but now you've got this just people media where everyone's in the media now. So it's got a lot more tricky. And it's only happened, it's happened to me quite a lot, actually. So I really don't like that. I think it's an invasion of privacy. Awful.
So you can fully understand when you see someone like Steve Clarke give an interview and it's a bit prickly.
Yeah.
You can understand that, listen, there's a bigger picture to this. There's a lot more context.
I'm not saying he's right or wrong. I'm not agreeing with him. I'm just trying to give our listeners a viewpoint of exactly what you've just said. There's a lot going on. And they thrust their microphones. I mean, I know the LMA did a lot of work with the TV companies, say you've got to stop all this just jumping on people as soon as they've had a terrible result. Or, the old getting people almost ready for the sack. I've had that, I was telling you getting sacked, no one's even mentioned you getting sacked. I mean, my phone's on, it's funny now, but recently at Forest, on the same day that I got nominated Manager of the Month, they said, I've got to go. Media pundits are going, he's got to go, they've got to change it. And I was like, well, that's a new one on me. I've just been Manager of the Month. I've just been nominated Manager of the Month. And they said, I've got to go. I mean, that's how crazy it can get. And it's difficult, but...
How do you deal with that? Well, how do you deal with that?
Is that just experience? Can't handle the heat, you've got to get out of the kitchen. That's the rules. The rules are there are no rules now in the media. There are no rules. So you just got to get used to it. You've got to learn to handle it or don't do it. As simple as that, really. Don't be in football if you think it's an easy ride. Don't be a football manager, because it's not. And don't get too carried away when you look. I've had my fair look. The sun's shining on my back many times, so I haven't lost sight of that either. And I have a good relationship with the media because I don't mess them around. I don't spin things. I never do off the record by that ever. I never ever do off the record with any journalist of any kind. But it's fair to all of them because I don't.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I don't load things in the press. I never have. I don't go behind people's backs in the press and all that. I don't do it. Other people tell me I should. I don't. That's my biggest rule of thumb. Because I just think if you're going to ask me a question, I'm going to answer. I'll get some stick sometimes. I get praise sometimes. That's the life that I lead. That's the life of a manager. Not just my life, but that's the life of a manager, a modern manager.
How difficult is it? Because you are expected to be a certain way. If you're the manager of a football club, you'll be expected to be a certain way, whether that comes from internally at the football club or whether it comes externally from the fans. This is how we want you to operate. How easy, difficult is that balance to get from doing that and also remaining true and authentic to yourself when you're answering these questions with the media? This is what I truly think, but I've got to say this because it's
of course,
club representation.
Yeah. Well, no. So you got the truthometer, haven't you? There are some things you got to be careful with, of course, but it could be legal things and it could be transfers. Yeah, so it's just common sense. You can't tell everyone everything. It might be personal things. I mean, I've had players. My goodness, there's some of the things that I know about players I've never told anyone, by the way, because that's my code to them. If they got something really, really important, I go, if you tell me, that's it. It's me and you. You might tell me, but I won't. And I've got loads of things. And they've got to go out there and play, by the way. And I know what's going on. They know what's going on.
And you want to defend them. You want to be able to defend them.
And you've got to sit there and they're loading these questions about said player.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, if you only knew what is really going on in that person's life. And that's really difficult because people load these things on top of you. When you feel yourself defending, you think, I can't over-defend him, because if you over-defend, they'll start going, why is defending that player? You know what I mean? Yeah, and then have another dig and they come again and they want to know and all that. So your privacy's out the window. But you just got to get used to it. You really have. You've got to roll with the punches. And like I say, my son's shone on my back many times, but I've been slapped many times with sunburn. So,
Well, to finish this off, would you do international management?
Yeah, I think so. But you were going just there, right? So I live in a box, don't I? They put me in a box. But I don't mind it because that's the way it goes. If you start trying to fight you out of it, like a I don't know, Brexit, Dyche, and didn't like foreign players and all these stupid things I've had down the years. But you just go, yeah, okay. Think what you want, because on the other hand, he gets me jobs, doesn't it? Because they go, we need him. We need him.
I'm talking from a media scrutiny point of view, because it must be the next level up.
But the same thing. So as much as media sometimes are against me, but they love me the other time. So you know, what do? You know, it gets me work in a way. You know, like, you know, people like a bit of conjecture, they like a bit of honesty, which I am, and they like a bit of authenticity. You know, I'm answering your questions.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to win or lose here. I'm just answering them. You know, and I find that quite refreshing because I have a voice and I can explain things. And hopefully people hear it for what it is, rather than thinking it's some kind of spin. I just don't do it. I can't be bothered, to be honest. And I'm not bright enough. That's everything. If you're gonna lie all the time, you better be clever. And I'm not that bright, so I just tend to say it as I see it.
Would you take the Scotland gig?
Oh, there you go. Look, clickbait. Dyche says.
Can I just say, right?
Well, because
him there behind the glass, he had me.
I got ginger hair. I drink iron brew. I love haggis, so that means I'm Scottish, of course.
Get him in.
Of course.
Get him in. He's qualified.
And I like a beer.
Listen.
Vitamin T.
Yeah, but listen, this is a lesson for all managers listening to this. That's how you answer that question. Well done.
Yeah, no, we were talking about if you can bring a bit of humour, that's one way of just easing things down a little bit, even in tough circumstances. And you can, you know, play around with it. I remember, you know, one of my own favourite ones was we scored a goal against Everton, funny enough, at Burnley. And I think we had 27 touches, 2 minutes of the ball. It was an amazing goal. And after the game, they went, "Oh my goodness, you know, people say about your direct football." I said, "Yeah, I know." I said to the lad, none of that anymore. Get it.
I think I remember that.
Just deadpan.
I think I remember you.
I said, I had a right go at him. I said, "Don't keep passing it to each other, whatever you do." I said, "I don't have that anymore, lads." And I actually did say that, and they were all buzzing off it, obviously. So I said it in the media, and that's one of my personal favourites because I never broke. I just deadpanned it. I just went, yeah. I said to him, "No, I'm not."
What are you doing?
Yes, I'm not having that. Get it forward. So, that's when you can play for it. You know, about your own reasons when you can play with it.
Of course. Listen, we're going to continue the conversations in a moment or two, but first, let's get an update from the Austrian Grand Prix. Tom Clayton, what's going on, mate?
Lap number 35, and we're about the halfway stage of this. George Russell's leading from Max Verstappen, who's in second, and he's closing down the gap. It was as high as 5 seconds at one point, but it's now down to about 3.5. There was a brilliant battle earlier on in this race between Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton couldn't keep a hold of his tyres, though. This is a key feature of this race. It is so hot in the Styrian Mountains today. It's about 32 degrees over there. Very humid, very sticky. So the temperatures and the management are becoming such a massive factor. We've already seen 2 cars retire, both Cadillacs, because their brakes were on fire, which is not ideal when it comes to Formula One. I can tell you that for a fact. But there's a good battle at the moment developing for 4th place between Leclerc, Piastri and Hamilton. Hamilton swapped onto a different set of tyres, so he's further down the pack at the moment, hoping to recover. But as we hit lap number 37 in this Grand Prix, it's George Russell who leads for Mercedes.
Top man. Thank you very much, my man. We will continue the conversation with Ryan, our playbook ambassador. It's going to come up in a moment or two. We're going to get some latest odds on this World Cup.
When you look at Scotland over the 3 games, David, what is your overall assessment and takeaway? I mean, most of us looked at it and felt that Morocco and Brazil would be a reach to get anything from, and that the outcome of the Haitian game would be important and that goals needed to be scored. Criticism is being made of Steve Clarke. I'm not asking you to jump on the bandwagon, but the manner in which Scotland have played, the lack of bravery, the fact that they've been very negative in lots of people's minds, and Steve is a defensive coach. When you hear all those things, what's your assessment of these 3 games and the opportunities that Scotland have either taken or missed?
Yeah. Well, we spoke the other day. I think the biggest word what you're missing here, Simon, is quality. I don't think Scotland have the quality at the moment available to them to compete. I'm not saying that on the odd day that you wouldn't beat one of these teams and get good results, which we did against Denmark, for example, when we get through those games. But I just feel that generally Scotland have been short at that level. We talked about it a few days ago when we were talking about the Haiti game and only winning 1-0. We all felt it was a really good result. not a really good result, but a good result because we had got 3 points. But you were right in what you were saying. We probably needed to score 3 or 4 goals. But I don't think MD, who's played Haiti yet, or certainly Morocco, have found it that easy. And I don't think they've been as easy a game as what maybe everybody hoped it might have been. So yeah, it might have cost us not scoring 2 or 3 goals in that one game. But I think us getting a victory in the opening game of the World Cup seemed like a good result for us and a good return.
But David, are you saying virtually that it doesn't really matter who?
Before we get stuck back into the manager chat, because I'm absolutely loving it, we are going to get a little bit of an update with our talkSPORT Bet ambassador, Ryan.
The Playbook with talkSPORT Bet. Download the app or visit talksportbet.com for all the latest odds and offers. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Good afternoon, gents. Good morning, actually, where I'm from. That is New York behind me. That is New York herself. Unbelievable. What a city. Today's my 18th day, but by the time you're watching this video, I'll be on my travels. I'll be on my way back. So sorry I couldn't be on the show with you, but I thought I'd give you a few odds to react to. So how about this? Get your teeth sank into this one. A first-time World Cup winner. Do you think it can happen? We all know all the conversation about the competition being expanded. That's 5-2 right now. So you don't have to name the team specifically, but 5-2 for there to be a World Cup winner. Would that be amazing for the World Cup? I think personally it would be. However, I am enjoying the fact that the big boys are turning up. I know you mentioned that earlier in the show. What about Thomas Tuchel to sing the national anthem? It hasn't happened yet. He's winning over the England fans bit by bit, game by game, isn't he? He wanted the photographers out of the way. That was a step in the right direction. But will he sing the anthem? That is 7-2. And how about this one? Who is the favourite right now to win the World Cup? Is Argentina? Is Messi's Argentina the ones? No. It is still France. France are the favourites at 3-1. Argentina are second in the betting at 4-1. And our very own England are third in the betting at 5-1. Do they deserve to be third in the betting, gents? That's where we are with it. Ryan Scott Douglas, talkSPORT Bet from New York. Look at it. I'm going to miss her.
That's just on holiday. He's just on holiday. That was a look ahead to the latest odds. Thanks to talkSPORT Bet. You've got to be over 18. Gambleaware.org.
The Playbook with talkSPORT Bet. Download the app or visit talksportbet.com to see all our latest sign-up offers. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Very jealous there, Ryan. Thank you very much for that, mate. Back to the conversation about management. You're listening to talkSPORT on a Sunday afternoon. I'm Adam Catterall. Sean Dyche alongside me. You hear all the time, or I say you hear all the time, when sometimes I listen to football managers talk about those experienced football managers making a call to them and just talking them through certain things that they're experiencing. Is that a common thing? Are you that guy now? Do you make phone calls to some of the younger lads that are coming through?
Well, they phoned me. I did it. I'd advice from people. I had help from people. I met people come out the blue tier. Giving you little moments and tips and helpful things. I mean, Steve Bruce sent me with a player. I had no money at Watford. I didn't know Bruce at the time. I do now. Brilliant fella. Incredible fella, actually. And I rang him. Well, could I pay someone, a player? I wouldn't tell him who it was because of the wages, but it was on about 16 grand a week with binned. And he said, ring the chief out, $4 grand a week. That's all I had left in the budget. I said, look, I'm going to embarrass you, but I had $4 grand a week. And he went, don't matter. I said, you're a young manager, you need it. I said, I'll have a word with the club and I'll get it through. And that player did amazing, absolutely amazing for me and probably saved my job. Mick McCarthy did the same with Michael Kitely. I mean, these are very experienced guys. They remember being you. This is when I was at Watford, by the way. So
that's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah, my first ever job. So now people ring me. Like the biggest advice I give to the younger managers now, some I know and some the word goes around that, I'd try and help sort of thing. And most managers will, by the way, I must make that clear. And they don't ask enough. That's another thing. I say first things to managers, ring someone. And I rang Moisey when I was just a bit lost, and I was like, and he'd been in the Premier League for years. I mean, years ago I was at Burnley, and I was like, oh, what can we do? And I just rang him out the blue and said, I knew him a little bit. I said, David, what? And he said, son, you just got to do this, do that, do that. And sometimes it's just, because you're like, the old silent scream.
Yeah.
Edvard Munch, that painting.
Yeah, absolutely.
It feels like that.
Is that just a culture between British managers, or does that extend into the European guys and the...
Yeah, some of the foreign managers I know. I'll tell you who's really helpful. Here's a surprise to you, because people said he didn't used to do this, Arsene Wenger. He was really good to me. He used to invite me in, and... in fact, I've got a funny story, but he used to invite me in, mainly because of Steve Bold. I knew Steve Bold from the youth system at Watford, and we sort of stayed in touch. Another great fella. And so he always used to get me in with Arsene, and Arsene got sort of like, I don't know whether he likes me, but, he was intrigued by the Burnley story because of our wages and all stuff like that. He was always great. Just a little thing. I'll tell you another one who rest his soul, and Sven-Goran Eriksson, and I did tell this on here before, but I think it's a good one to tell. I went in the dressing room after Leicester beat us, and I was at Watford, and I was under pressure. It's my first job, about 10 games in. I'd already lined me up to get a sack. And they beat us 2-0. And Sven-Goran Eriksson didn't know him at all. He pointed his finger at me in the room, and I thought, that's a bit, but he was actually, because he's quiet, he wasn't trying to be, big time. And I went over and he said, Sean, he said, let me tell you this. He said, your players are working for you, and they're trying, and they're playing hard. Just keep them running. Right? And he said, because we should beat you. We spent a fortune. We should beat you. He said, keep them running and keep them working. That simple bit of advice.
So what does that do for you as a young manager?
Yeah, because you're feeling a bit lost. You're thinking, my goodness. And your staff are amazing. I've got brilliant staff. But even them, sometimes you need an outside voice sometimes. Like John Duncan, the late John Duncan, who was my manager at Sheffield, and a brilliant mentor and a brilliant friend as well. And lost him a couple of years ago, sadly. He was a brilliant voice to go from, because he's a bit of a lateral thinker. So I could ring him, and I knew he was going to give me something that my staff would give me. Because my staff are amazing. I've got brilliant staff, and I've been fortunate to keep my staff and get new staff at different clubs who have been brilliant. But he just gives you a different voice, and managers give you a different voice. You know what I mean? And they just sometimes reaffirm to you. Even they might just tell you what you already know, but you just feel better for sharing it. You know what I mean? Young managers should do it more. And the other bit of advice I forgot. The other bit of advice I give to young managers: don't tell the world that you're going to play like Barcelona until you've won something. I said, win first, then tell them you're going to play like Barcelona. Because now these young managers are under so much pressure to say, I'm going to play the right way, I'm going to pass out the back, I'm going to do this. I said, you ain't won a game yet. So I said, build a bit of a name first, then start telling the world that you're going to play like this or play like that, and your philosophy and everything.
What are the new challenges that new managers are facing?
Well, they've all got to play the right way. I'm desperate for Mikel to come out and just say, look, I'll change my philosophy. It's simple as that. And we went hard, strong, and we won the league. I'm desperate for it because it will take the pressure off younger managers. Not for me, but for younger managers now, because every young manager now, they're under so much pressure to play this way and play that way and play that. Not everyone can play that way, trust me, because they haven't got the players to play that way. And I look up.
Do you think there's too much stress for that? Because there are many ways to skin a cat in this game, isn't there?
The media have almost dominated people's minds over the last 10 years that you have to do this.
Goalkeeper's got to be able to play his feet and all this. Right, okay.
And by the way, just here's another thing. This will occur, right? So when I talk like this, people go, just because he's a dinosaur, and that's going to happen. But it's still a view. It's not relevant whether I'm a dinosaur or not. It's just a view on football, because I've been in the trenches, and it's not easy trying to coach players who aren't good enough to play that way that they're all meant to be playing. And people lose their job. I know managers have lost their jobs from it. I'm going... the killer line for me is, we might go down, but we go down playing the right way. I'm like, stay up playing the wrong way. Stay up playing the wrong way. I hate when I hear that. It's ridiculous. All your players looking at it going, we just went down. We didn't need to go down because we could have changed and stayed up. And guess what? Their contracts all half. Their lives all half. And I'm going, stay up playing the wrong way. That's what you should be doing.
On that then?
Not going down playing the right way. Trust me, it's ridiculous. I hate that. I hate that line.
You said a little earlier on that the jump between Championship and Premier League is absolutely...
enormous, yeah. It's got bigger.
Enormous.
It's got bigger.
So if you have played a certain way in the Championship and done really well that way, do you keep that philosophy into the Premier League?
No, you can't. Look at the team 2 years ago. 3 teams, Burnley, Ipswich, and went up and down. I forgot the other one. 2 of them went up, all played really good seasons, all playing some great football, tried it in the Premier League and went straight back down again.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And you look at it and go, why? What, you thought it was going to be that easy? You thought it was going to be that easy? You're going to go into from the Championship to the Premier League and play, free-flowing football, and you think it's going to be that easy? And trust me, that is not going to be that easy. And that's when it frustrates me, because I'm trying to help manage, not in a patchwork, not like I've got every answer. What I mean is I'm trying to give them good advice and protect them and, share a view, and all private. I don't, I'm not telling you names here.
No.
And nor would I. But, and you just think, goodness me, just sort of earn your spurs, you know what I mean? Don't go there pontificating to the world that you're brilliant before you're brilliant. I mean, the only one I've ever seen do it and pull it off was Mourinho. Do you remember when he said, I might be the special one? Brilliant. And he had that glint in his eye. But people forget even then he had done a bit, you know, he'd won the Champions League with Porto. It's not like he'd just come from Scarborough Town and arrived, you know what I mean, with all due respect. And it just, it frustrates me. It really does, because there's so many good coaches out there, and you just think you're lining yourself up to get really badly damaged here, and then within 6 months...
Well, it damages careers, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they're out of a job. And once they're out of a job, it's hard to get another one.
We've got some sport updates in a moment or two with Amelia, and then we're going to get stuck into more conversation in the final hour of the show. Don't be going anywhere. You're listening to talkSPORT on a Sunday afternoon.
You mentioned him there, right, and about Nico O'Reilly. Now, obviously, the manager made a change because he saw something in Ghana and he thought Spence would have been a better option. But you would have watched Nico week in, week out. Does it faze him, whoever he's playing against, however quick they are, strong they are? Is he just the perfect left back in terms of playing against anyone?
I tell you what is the difference between Nico and Jed Spence. Nico will get you a goal. He will get you a ghosting and get you a goal.
Yeah.
I haven't seen enough of Jed Spence. I'm not Tottenham fan. I haven't seen enough of him, so I don't know. But I would, being biased, he'd be the first name on the City team sheet, never alone the England team sheet. So, and when he came on, he had one of the two best chances. So, I wouldn't be quick to drop Nico. He's whatever he might lack as a fullback, he'll give you going forward the other way.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And he's fearless. He's fearless on the ball. You know, he can dribble like a midfielder. You know, he's a top player.
Let's sort of move it on to City while staying with England. You are edging closer to a deal for Elliot Anderson. And I said before the window opened, if United could buy one player that would be gettable, it would be Elliot Anderson. I'm not too sure about the price tag. I don't know what that's going to be. I know Forest have already rejected a deal worth about £121 million. Your views on him? Are you excited by the prospect of him being a City player?
Yeah, I mean, I've never taken much notice of him, to be honest. You know what I mean? He's one of those players that you don't really... he scored against us last season and he was great. But the price tag, silly money for footballers, you know what I mean? Is any footballer worth that amount of money? But looking at him in this World Cup, he looks the real deal to me. He's got
It's 2010, and the Goalkeepers Union is up in arms. Why? This thing, the Jabulani, perhaps the most famous World Cup match ball for moving, it seemed, in 3 directions at once. But that wasn't the first match ball row, not by a long shot. In 1930, the World Cup final began with a fight, not between the players, but about the ball. Argentina brought theirs, and Uruguay brought theirs. And when neither backed down, they played 45 minutes with each. Uruguay, with the T model, came out on top. This was the era when balls were heavy. They were classics, sure, but they could double in weight during a thunderstorm. Before we go on, I will tell you that the 1962 ball was called Mr. Crack. A ball that was so heavy when wet, several European teams refused to use it. Instead, the 1958 Top Star was used, most famously for the quarter-final between Czechoslovakia and Hungary. By 66, we had the Slazenger Challenge. Because people watched They Think It's All Over in black and white, we forget the ball was actually bright orange or red, whatever that colour is. But it looked like a floating smudge to people at home. The World Cup match ball needed a makeover. Enter the Telstar. 32 black and white panels. It was stylish, it was modern, and it meant goalkeepers could finally see the thing that was about to ruin their afternoon. It was also the start of an Adidas monopoly. 1986 was the dawn of a new age. The Azteca was the first fully synthetic ball, meaning it didn't soak up water. Recently, though, things have got weird. 2002 gave us the Fever Nova, basically a high-tech frisbee, and then, of course, for Jabulani. Today, the balls have internal sensors that tell the VAR room if someone breathed on it. We've come a long way. But the ball's not the main thing, is it, FIFA? It's just a ball.
It's the World Cup weekender with me, Adam Catterall, Sean Dyche alongside me. We are taking your calls. You're more than welcome to come and join us. 03717 223344. England getting the job done last night, obviously 2-0. Winning the group. They'll play on Wednesday against Congo. Tonight it is South Africa against Canada, getting the round of 32 underway. If you want to get stuck into any of that conversation, you're more than welcome to do so. Come and join us. We've got a bit of a bone to pick with you, mate. I didn't know that this show was lined up like this. Obviously, I'm filling in today for Johnny, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that you obviously controlled the adverts. I didn't know that you controlled the news. I didn't know that you controlled the content.
I was just about to say, that is the most surreal.
Are you on commission or something?
I know. I was sitting here and we were talking. Then the advert that I did for Aqua Credit came on, voiceover.
Yeah.
And we'd just had a chat and then...
Amelia's
just going, yeah, and Sean Dyche, he's sympathising with Steve Clark. And I'm going, what just happened there? It's only 4 minutes ago. Goodness me.
They're milking you today, mate.
Heaven.
You could just hear the chings going off in the background every time something gets played. I've no doubt there'll be another advert coming up in about 10-15 minutes on Dyche FM. That's what we're getting stuck into.
FM.
I know that we had a little bit of banter about this a little earlier on about the Blackburn-Burnley thing, but a mate of mine's just sent me a text, right? Get stuck into Sean about Burnley manager. I can't get stuck into him because every time your lot played my lot when you were in charge, you turned...
And since, I think. When I was in charge, definitely.
Yeah, you
never lost, yeah.
All right, okay. You're the momentum changer on that, yeah, because we haven't had... The recent times for Blackburn fans has not been successful in that. But you've been in...
Tony's back in there now, brilliant.
Mate, do you know something? I'm absolutely delighted.
Oh, what a guy. I hope he does well.
Because he did incredibly well first time round for us, and fingers crossed. Did you just say you hope he does well for Blackburn?
I hope he does well, I said.
I nearly had him then. I nearly got you. I nearly got you.
Got to get up early in the morning to catch
How do you think Burnley will do this season, going back down in the...
I don't know. Their models, their models not worked, has it? Because no, you can't. Actually, that's wrong, isn't it? Because the model worked to get them up.
Yeah.
Then spent a fortune and went down.
Yeah.
And they thought they were going to sell everyone, I presume, for 100 million. They didn't. But then they went back up again. Scotty Park did a brilliant job, amazing job actually. And then they went down again. So it sort of has worked, and it sort of hasn't worked. So I don't know. I don't know which way they go with it now. You know, do they do that again? Do they reinvest again, quite heavy in the Championship, which they did to go back up? But then do they reinvest again in the Premier League, should they get there, in youngsters like they have done? Do you know what I mean? But then they go down again. So don't know.
How hard is that as a yo-yo club?
We used to just plan on trying to stay up. I mean, the best clarity I had there, by the way, compared to other clubs, is the board and Mike Garlick as chairman used to, right, we finished seventh going to Europe. They went, no, keeps in the Premier League. That was it, right? And that's amazing for a manager. It's brilliant clarity that's for a manager. Not going, well, we finished seventh, so we should be finishing fifth. Because they knew that I had the drive to, I wasn't happy with just staying up. They knew I had the natural drive. They didn't need to say to me, like, if you get what I mean, because some people go, well, they're not setting goals for you and all that. But they knew I was driving. They knew I was stimulated, and my staff and the players to do better. And they had contracts that were stimulated for the players. So they ticked every box. They knew they didn't have to do all that. Well, we set the markers high and all that. They knew naturally they had a manager and a staff and players who were pushing to do well. And that was an amazing thing for me as a manager. I must say that. You know, for all they didn't have loads of money, but they didn't give it to me, let's put it that way. But they were brilliant at just staying true to the truth of the club. We are Burnley Football Club. We're not giants. Keep us in the Premier League.
How important is that?
Oh, it's amazing for the area. Well, you know the area.
Yeah.
For that area, it was amazing. We did so much.
Yeah, but some
work
people could get carried away, can't they? They could go, right, look at this now.
And the board, listen, they backed me with a lot of stuff, you know. There's a fellow called Lee Hoos, a great fellow, one of my original people I worked with there as CEO. We had this idea about the community department. I think when I got there was one person. When I left, there was 120 people working in the community. I think that is fantastic. That's not just from me, by the way. Lee Hoos and me started the process. Brought in Neil Hart, who's now CEO of MK Dons, did a brilliant job. I'd worked with him at Watford.
Yeah.
And they grew that to a massive level, and they've done some amazing work in the community.
What, working out in the schools and things like that? Because that is quite a prominent thing now.
Oh, incredible. And people forget that. I'm proud of that, by the way. You know, people think it's just on the pitch, and not because I did it, but we instigated, we started the process, and they did brilliant building it. Neil Hart says massive credit, but the board as well, they all stood true, and okay, we've got to do that, you know. So it was a great period for me as a manager for growth, but the best bit about it was not changing the goalposts all the time. Keep us in the Premier League. That was the challenge. You know, no matter how we did it, keep us in the Premier League and be solvent, where there was certainly plenty of make up a few good out.
Is that a key thing as well? We were talking about, we spoke about the role as a manager now and how it's changed. Is that a thing that has to be understood? If you're taking a position in one of these particular clubs as a manager, understanding the wider aspect of the club and what it means to the community, what it means to the normal person on the street who's working the 9 to 5. That's
I got it. It's getting harder though, because you got to remember we collectively built a football club from where it was to where it is.
Yeah,
that's a different process. You're going to Everton. Everton's a big club already.
But it still means something to the people.
Oh no, it means a lot. By the way, it means a lot, and I tried to do my bit. But there was that much going on there when I was managing, mate. It's like fires every day, you know what I mean? And the fire wasn't getting smaller, the fire's getting bigger.
Yeah.
So the time, you know, just your physical time and your energy to keep doing all the... I mean, I did as much as I could with bits of the community. No, not as much as I did it. But
so it's prioritising the things that actually need doing in that particular club.
We had to. Oh, we would... I mean, some of the stories there, wow. You know, we would... I'm as proud of that as any job that I've ever done. The staff, the people involved.
The Burnley job or the Everton job?
Everton. No, it was, oh, my goodness. It was in such a bad way. And, again, not only me, lots of good people there behind the scenes doing lots of work. But the fans care there, so don't get me wrong. I'm not in the community department. They were amazing what they've done there. It's a very, I remember Jordan and a few of the lads really good with the community, you know, financially giving things and not just giving time and effort.
Yeah.
And we'd raise money. And
making people feel connected to the football club, that's the key thing.
Well, I used to do a lot of things behind the scenes. So I used to raise money from the players and we'd just keep it quiet and we'd just put it through, you know, like the online things and all that.
Yeah.
I'd warn them. I'd go, right, this amount's coming in, it's from the players. But we didn't want to do that, you know, like, oh, look at them all doing their thing. It can get too non-authentic, you know what I mean? So I used to get the players together now and again and the staff, and I go, right, I'll put a few quid and I'll give it to the staff as a little bonus and all that. And I think there's brilliant things to do. Amazing, because you don't always need a pat on the back. Just do it because it's right to do it. And I've done loads of that stuff and I take great pride in it. I don't talk about it very often, but I'll tell you this bit. I'm not telling you all the other stuff. But I love that, you know, stuff that you do behind the scenes and all that. And the stuff clubs do, by the way, sorry, not me, the clubs. It's clubs and players. They do a lot, you know, a lot more than people think.
You see, that's the thing. And Blackburn fans who are listening to this will probably give me a little bit of abuse of this. This is the thing I admire about Burnley. Because there's a disconnect between Blackburn fans, obviously their ownership and everything that's going on there at the moment. There's a massive disconnect. But you look down the road, down the M65, and you look at the way that Burnley's running, you think to yourself, I'm pretty jealous.
Yeah, I mean, the American guys have went in and changed it, and that's fine.
But the fans are connected to the club.
Oh, yeah. The Burnley fans, I mean, I must say, once I worked, because people do forget in my early days, I get booed off for half the time I was there. But once I connected with them, once they realised, like, right, he's with us.
Yeah.
Oh, they never ever did anything but back me. Even when we had trouble, they backed me to the hill. And even at the end, when it was waning a bit, there weren't many, you know, boos and that. There weren't many harsh times at the end. It was almost like, no, he's still one of us, you know what I mean? And I take great pride in that. It was a magical period. But then I do in all the clubs I've been at. Watford, you didn't mention Watford, I was manager there. No one ever mentioned. They go, you know, they always say ex-Burnley, Everton and Forest manager. No one ever mentions Watford. I took great pride in Watford. I never have a grudge against all these clubs, by the way. Everton, for some reason, when I come there, I go, no, you must hate the club. I don't. I admire Everton. They do brilliant things. I was the first to applaud Moisey when he went in. I spoke to Moisey and said, look, it's set up for you. Just go in and get on with it because it's going to work for you. Brilliant times at Everton, but they were, hard times. That's all it was. Really, that is heavy lifting when I was there. And now it's brighter days for them. And brilliant for them.
Okay. What's the hardest part of being a football manager?
Just the intent, just the nonsensicalness of modern football. Everyone thinks they know more than you, and yet you're a specialist in your field. I've been in football all of my life. Think about it. Every inch of my life has been in football, and yet the bloke down the pub knows more than me. The chairman knows more than me. You know what I mean? Everyone knows more than me.
There's no
And
other
that's
gig
just
like
the way
that
it
in
is.
the world,
I know. Well, there are not many. I would say to me, my favourite was, so when you meet, I'd just give you a random person in the pub. They go, and sometimes they start telling you stuff and they rise, So at the beginning, they go, all right, Sean, just wanted to say hello. And you're like, yeah. And they slowly rise and they go, well, the thing is, though, you shouldn't have done that. And I go, all right. And then by the end of it, they go, well, you shouldn't have done this, shouldn't have. And I'm thinking, right. So I go, what do you do? I have interest. They go, well, I'm a plumber. And I go, well, I didn't tell you how to put the boiler in, did I? Because I go, you're a plumber. You know how to put the boiler in. I don't. I'm a foot manager. I know how to manage football teams. You don't. But it's not that simple, you know what I mean? That's actually rational. If you think about that's rational.
Oh, it's 100% rational.
Yeah, but it's not that easy because it's such an emotive business. And I actually don't mind it. I don't mind it. Most people, honestly, they're so good. 99% of people are so good when you speak to them. And I call it, it's like road rage in stadiums. That's all it is. Fans in football stadiums, they got road rage. They got stadium rage. I'm telling you, the same people, you speak to them afterwards and they just go, all right. You go, yeah, you were a bit lively, weren't you, in the stand? And they go, oh, yeah, just got a bit carried away. It's the weirdest thing. Stadium rage, I'm telling you. It's a thing, I'm sure it is. It's like road rage.
We're going to get Sean's opinion on a couple of things that happened in the World Cup over the last 24 hours or so. Stick around for the Dyche review. It's coming next.
I just think our options, like we bring O'Reilly on, he gets the header in the box late on. You start putting bodies in the box against these low defensive block teams. Like it was calling out for Tony to come on for me, get more bodies in the box because we had players come on, put more crosses in the box. Saka come on and made an impact, I thought. But I just think Saka and Rashford has to start.
He's got to take the skipper off if he does.
So that was John Terry sitting exactly where Sam is this morning. This clamour for Rashford, you've got a view in that, haven't you?
Well, I just don't remember the last time Rashford started the game for England was particularly impactful. It's always the way, whatever you haven't got is what you cry out for when you don't get the outcomes that you want. The main thrust of England's game was they didn't fizz the ball around. If you move the ball quickly, you move people around. And it was interesting that they put Saka on, which I think makes a lot of difference when he comes on because he's a clever player, he creates outcomes. And the numbers that he throws out on the field are quite staggering when he's actually on the field. And then he shifted Madueke dugout side so that the coach could be in his ear driving him forward. I think the other thing, I think Rashford comes on as an impact player. If you're playing the last 20 minutes of a game and Rashford comes on with a wild hair up his backside because he hasn't been in the side, he's been replaced by Anthony Gordon at Barcelona and England and wants to play, which is the Rashford that we've got now. Tragically, for a boy of his talent, he's a consequence player. Every time he does something that gets him consequence, he responds to it. He doesn't play well for a season. The England team need him to be available for the next World Cup. He has a good season. He goes away, gets himself into trouble by not turning up for a training session, gets consequence. The next 3 games, he plays very well. So I don't think Rashford starting is the answer.
It's the World Cup weekend with me, Adam Catterall, and the one and only Mr. Sean Dyche, getting stuck into everything that's been happening in the World Cup over the last few weeks or so. It's the serious stuff now. Round of 32 gets going tonight as South Africa and Canada get us underway. That is live on talkSPORT from 7 o'clock. Make sure you come and join us for that. In the meantime, are you ready for the Dyche review?
Oh, apparently. We'll soon know if I'm right.
I've got some good ones here for you, mate, because there's been a lot that's been going on talkSPORT over the last 24 hours or so. So let's get stuck into it. On the Weekend Sports Breakfast, this happened this morning. Tony Cascarino was talking about England's right-back situation, and he thinks he's got an answer for the conundrum.
If I'm brutally honest, I would really think about playing Declan Rice there.
Right back?
Yeah. I think he could do it. If I wanted someone to be able to handle someone physically and athletically, I'm looking at Declan Rice.
Cass knows his stuff. Give me your thought process on it.
Yeah, that wouldn't be my thought process. But we covered this a bit earlier because I don't see the point in having a right back there if you're not going to play a right back. And I wouldn't move, because of his prowess, Declan Rice's days, I wouldn't move him out of there. I'd keep him, you need your strength in the middle of the pitch. I'd just keep him in there for me.
Do you think Tony's saying that because he maybe doesn't believe in the right backs that we've currently got?
Yeah. But what I mean is, so then if you move them out of there, that gets slightly weaker in my opinion.
Yeah.
If Mainoo's a very good player, but I don't think he's quite where Declan Rice is currently. So therefore, do you get what I mean? You get a bit stronger if that's.
Yeah, you're spreading yourself thin.
Yeah, and I don't see the point in that. I don't. For me, it's just I don't understand this idea. Why if Jed Spencer's there, why did you just take him if you're not going to play him? He's a fullback, and we need a fullback, so then he plays. That's it for me. It's that simple. I should be looking at myself, as manager, and my staff going, why have we bought him then? You know what I mean? I don't see how that. I don't see the why bring a player if you're not going to play him.
Over to White and Jordan now. They were talking about Elliot Anderson. Is he worth £116 million? This is what they had to say.
Someone sits down with a bag of popcorn saying, can I watch Elliot Anderson? Because that's not the sort of play. You watch a flying machine going down the wing or a centre forward scoring goals, or someone pinging 60-yard diagonals, and you think that's wonderful to watch. Elliot Anderson is none of those. But what he is clearly an anchor, or a player of that ilk is an anchor for every other aspect of the structure of the team to pivot off. Yeah. Whether it's a central defensive unit can rely on the fact that he gives them cover, or whether it's the attacking format is based and anchored in the platform that sort of role builds. And you've got to look at the conventional thinking behind it, because the orthodoxy seems to have been established by elite managers.
The money's bonkers in this game these days. 116 million quid for Elliot Anderson, yes or no?
Brilliant deal for Forest. Losing a great player, or it looks like, or can be a great player. He's not great yet. The modern game, it doesn't. I don't agree in the sense that the numbers have been going mad for a few years, but it's not. I said many years ago, if we were sitting here now and we had a list of 10 players with our listeners as well, and they were listening, and we said, right, these are 10 players in 20 minutes, give us your valuation. 10 years ago, we'd probably all be quite similar. We'd probably be around the right mark. No one cares anymore. The clubs just go, pay it or don't pay it. End of. If you want them, this is going to cost you this. And you go, oh, ridiculous. And you go, yeah, okay, no problem. Don't buy them then. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of owners now, they're billionaires. They're going, yeah, I'm not bothered. So, I prefer to keep them. So the market isn't what it was. It's just one of them, take it or leave it, pay it or don't pay it. That's what the market's like now. There's not actually that much sensibility to it. As regards him as a player, then I think Simon's last quote was better. I understand his point about would you want to watch him like Flair and all that, but as a team player, which allows all them flair players to be the flair players, then he's a top player for that. And it's going to get better, I'm sure of that. When he learns, I call it the nuts and bolts, when he gets the nuts and bolts of the role and he really, really nails it. What I would say, and I challenged him with it when I was there, can you play forward more? Can you ask more questions? Because he can, he's got to be a really good passer. Can you pass forward more? Can you ask more questions of the opposition? And can you score more? To add to his game, though. Not to take away what he does already, which is that kind of, like, not pivot, but, that kind of in front of the back four, does it brilliantly, go and get it, starts the play, continuity player, but of a high level.
Does he have value to City? Do you think he have value to
Well, like I say, I think he might be, I can only put myself in their shoes, and that would be for me, doing the hard yards. Remember Fernandinho and people like that? Yeah. Fantastic. And like the modern Rodri. So they might be looking, going, Rodri is unbelievable, which he is, by the way, way better when you work closely and you see him closely. But they might be thinking he's going to grow in to the next Rodri. Yeah. Rodri's 6 years, I think he's been there now. Yeah. Proper player, by the way. But they might be going, right, we need to bring on the next version of him.
In case
and Rodri allows all the others to be them. Do you know what I mean? So I reckon they may be looking at that role for him where he allows others to grow while he's doing all the stuff that they can't do.
Gabriel Bonlaho's been doing himself, obviously, on Drive this week, talking about which of the Manchester clubs he would rather play for.
have players sign for Manchester City? Did, for instance, Semenyo and Gay sign for Man City knowing that Pep was leaving? Or did they think he was staying? Would they have signed if they knew he was leaving? I think there'll definitely be a difference next season in Manchester City. You know, Maresca's got different styles as well. Can get a bit more angrier than Pep Guardiola with players as well. If I had to choose, I'd still go to Manchester City because of recent history before Manchester United. But maybe players like Rodri want to go. Maybe Bernardo Silva was told by Pep behind closed doors, I'm leaving. Okay, I'm not going to sign a new deal now. Will Haaland want to spend the rest of his career at Manchester City? I don't think so. I think if Haaland the next couple of seasons can get a move to Real Madrid, he will try and go to Real Madrid as well.
What do you think of that? City or United? Who would you pick?
Well, they're both. City have grown into a massive club, haven't they? You know, through the money and the belief in the bigger picture of what they are. But Man U historically is still bigger for me. For me, I'd always said, you know,
it's a personal choice, isn't it?
No, there's nothing in there. You know, I'm not really going about the players. If you ask me as a manager, then I've always thought to myself, I'd want to manage Man United because they're still one of the biggest clubs in the world, even now when they're not winning as much. Yeah, because of the history and the depth of it. Nothing against City. I think they've done an amazing job what they've done there because they're another club, you know, in the community there where you probably do know.
Yeah.
They've done loads of stuff in the community there, not just what you see on the football pitch.
Yeah.
So I do value that in what they do. But yeah, I think as a kid, I always thought if I could play for Man U, I'd play for them, and if I could manage them, I'd manage them.
There you go. That was the Dyche review. Let's get some breaking news because the brilliant Amelia Beltrao has just joined us back in the studio. What have you got for us?
I've got some weird news considering he's just had a spell at bowling, but Ben Stokes is going to be retiring from international cricket. Yep, he's announced that he will retire as England's men's test captain and from international cricket, ending his career that has spelled many, many years. We've had a word from their ECB chief executive, Richard Gould. He says he's made an immeasurable contribution to English cricket, not only through his exceptional skill as one of the world's finest all-rounders, but through the commitment, resilience and passion he has demonstrated throughout his international career. He then goes on to say his contribution to the game will be celebrated for many years to come. So that's Ben Stokes. He is retiring from international cricket.
They've released that while he's playing.
They released it a minute ago.
I've got him on the big screen here.
Exactly. He's
right in front of my eyes at Trent Bridge.
He's just been bowling. Have they done it on a stump cam or something like that? Is this how they've done it?
I'm thinking he's just got a microphone. He's just told everyone, by the way, guys, I'm retiring after this.
Well, let's get more information because Will Hobbs is obviously covering this game for us. How has this all come about? We're watching him play and he's retired mid-game. What's going on?
Yeah, it's absolutely bonkers. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, least because he is an absolute giant of the game. He's the captain on the field right now. We did have rumours of this after the first test when they broke the curfew, Ben Stokes and Gus Atkinson, when they were out too late. Ben Stokes, the captain, had obviously enforced the curfew and then he was out, and so he was banned for the second test, which meant 5 debutants came in, and we heard the rumour, I think it was on the Tuesday after the Sunday they were out, that Ben Stokes was considering retirement, but he went back to Durham, and Tim Bostock, the Durham CEO at that point, was bemused. He says Ben Stokes is fine because there were lots of concerns about his mental health. Ben Stokes has made a great documentary about his mental health. He had a break from the game a few years ago, but the Durham CEO said he's absolutely fine. He went to Durham, got 95. He roared back in to this test series. He picked up 4 wickets in the first test. He's England's best bowler right now. There's a standing ovation round the ground at Trent Bridge to salute Ben Stokes. But this, yeah, as I said, this is a giant of the sport in all 3 formats. He won the World Cup. He won the final pretty much on his own in 2019 in the 50-over game when he scored 84 to take England to that super over. He's brilliant in Test cricket. Headingley 19, probably England's greatest ever innings when he salvaged that series to keep the Ashes alive in 2019. And then the T20 World Cup final in 2022, he played the starring role and was man of the match there. So he's man of the match in 2 World Cup finals. He's probably arguably England's greatest all-rounder. Obviously got Andrew Flintoff in there and Ian Botham as well. But you couldn't have a bigger figure in English cricket. You couldn't have a figure with a better story, with more resilience, who's gone through so much personally and on the field as well. So to retire like this, it leaves a massive hole in England's team because there's no obvious captain to take over, and he's such a good bowler as well. His batting has fallen off a cliff in recent times. So in some ways this isn't a massive surprise because there were rumours of this just a couple of weeks ago, but we thought he was back, we thought he was ready to go, but it's telling that when he did come back, the coach and the English Cricket Board, they never said that he's our captain for the long term. So I think they would have known about this a while, and he's decided to do it at the end of this test series.
Will, sorry to put you on the spot here, mate, right? I'm looking at my screen. Has he just taken a wicket?
He has indeed.
What
224.
the heck is going on? The man has just announced his retirement, and now he's skittling the New Zealanders.
He's that good that he's actually just down to that and just thought, well, while I'm announcing it, I'm just going to get a wicket.
I mean, that is Ben Stokes to a T in terms of drama, in terms of owning the moment. Ben Stokes, the man for the big moment, and as Trent Bridge salutes him for his retirement, he goes and gets the wicket of Zach Folkes, and that's quite a nice wicket as well, because Zach Folkes got him out in the first innings. He nipped one through the gate when Stokes was batting. He bowled a pretty unplayable delivery, and now Stokes has got him caught at slip. So that is Ben Stokes to a T. He's never out of the game, even if he's just about to leave the game.
Well, that's outstanding. Thank you so much for that. For those that have just been tuning into talkSPORT, Ben Stokes has announced his international retirement. He gets a standing ovation. The first ball, as he walks back onto ball, he gets a wicket. Oh, absolutely, completely incredible. You can't genuinely make that up. Listen, we're going to have more on that throughout the course of the day here on talkSPORT. Amelia will be back in a minute to give us some more sports updates, and then we're going to get stuck into a bit of a conversation.
If Carlsberg did retirements.
Hey, listen, we're going to be talking Lionel Messi in a minute. We might be talking about another Carlsberg retirement in a moment or two. Don't be going anywhere. It's talkSPORT.
Ronaldo is top, still top. But Haaland, for instance, is a better finisher.
Let me ask you this. In world football, I said this, Bentley, on yesterday's show, and I got a little bit of criticism. In his pomp, right? I'll ask you both. I'll start with Bentley.
I heard it.
I said R9 is a better finisher than Cristiano Ronaldo.
No, do you know,
he's a better striker, number 9.
Do you know what you said, right? And you said he was a better goal scorer.
Okay.
Right? Now, for me, R9 is a better centre forward. So I don't think it's even close, right? But what people will do is look at the numbers. And this is where sometimes stats-wise, like the new generation will go, if I say R9's better than Ronaldo, Cristiano, they're going to go, are you crazy? He's scored 1,000 goals. But sometimes it's not about just stats. It's about what does your eyes tell you. And anyone who's watched it, you would have watched him. R9 is the best centre forward I've ever seen.
R9, for me, that's my hero. He is... That's why I wanted to become a striker. You look at him, and Ronaldo has done absolutely magnificent, yeah? And Ronaldo, it's all about numbers and goal scoring, and he's obsessed with that, and that makes him so good. But R9 is just phenomenal. He's just incredible.
Better.
As a footballer, so
you
much
both
more
agree with
natural.
me on that.
Yeah, but you said, because the way you said goal scorer. Yeah. Now, you can't compare the numbers because Ronaldo's numbers are crazy.
You know what I mean? Like a better player.
He's a better player.
Yeah.
He's a better player. He's the things that he used to do, picking up the ball and dribbling, the goals that he scored for Barcelona. Oh my God! If he didn't injure himself with his knee
twice.
Oh my God!
So can I say, because they'll clip this and stick it out there, right? You're both.
Oh, we forgot, didn't you?
I know I did.
I actually thought you were missing the music there because you don't have your headphones on.
I only told you 16 times.
Look at that. For those that are not keeping up to date, Mr. Dyche, you're celebrating his birthday today, aren't you?
I am.
And you're giving up a bit of time to actually do a radio show. I thought you'd be out and about enjoying yourself, having a few scoops
later.
and what have you.
I will have a couple of scoops. Don't worry about that. I'll make sure I amend that situation. Yes, 55 years young. Mentally about 12. but the birth certificate says different.
But you've got to celebrate the birthdays, man.
Absolutely. No,
just straight after the show.
Yeah, well,
something to eat and
a couple of scoops.
Good lad.
But nothing too mad. I'm not really mad on birthdays. But thank you for mentioning it, though. Anyway,
listen, I've got a task for you now because you know that our producer loves the old clickbait and he loves all that stuff.
They all do, yeah.
Right. So we're going to get stuck into the perfect party planning for your birthday.
Oh,
all right. Listen, but the reason why I'm interested in this conversation is because you're a music man. You love your music. You bang into all that type of thing.
I am.
All right, so you're going to have to give me some type of playlist that would be featuring...
Well, it depends on it because I'm normally more like, I don't know the titles. You know, there's a million titles of music, but like, let's go, mod rock or rock or...
Right.
You know what I mean? Or,
hang on, we were having a pre-show conversation about Ibiza, mate. That's where I thought we were going, like the party DJ.
No, so I was going to add on.
All right.
But my party thing would definitely be more dance-heavy sort of stuff, heavy dance music, and not heavy as in not a trance or anything, but just a mixture of all the old classic dance tunes. You know what I mean? Marshall Jefferson and Rui de Silva and all them. So and then you got Calvin Harris, the emergence of Calvin Harris and David. I've seen a lot of these guys.
Were you into the old like piano house type stuff?
Yeah, I love it. The sound of a piano at the back of house music. Oh, fantastic!
All right, okay,
love it, man.
So let's say
I know you're a DJ, weren't you? I know we were talking about it earlier.
So let's say you're having your party tonight.
Yeah.
And you're
DJ.
No, not me.
Oh,
mate.
okay.
You've been to many different shows.
I'd have Garrix or someone, wouldn't I? You know what I mean?
Would you?
I'd have Martin Garrix or someone.
You go. I'm going to say, would you go a little bit older? But you go for something a little bit more now.
Martin Garrix a couple of times. I mean, the Calvin House is brilliant, you know, and David Guetta and all the old school sort of guys. Well, not Calvin so much, but David Guetta. He's 57. He rocked it. We saw him in Vegas, me and my son and a few of his mates for his 21st. He was unbelievable. Just gets out there and just smashes it out, and I'm thinking, fair play.
Right, I need to know how you're consuming this, right? Because obviously you're a player in this game. So therefore, are you VIP in it, or are you in the mixer?
It's improbable that I'm in the mixer.
Oh, yeah?
No, I said it's improbable
right,
that I'm...
Okay.
Oh, no, that's not fair. That's not fair, because I've been in the mosh pit a number of times.
A little bit of half and half.
Yeah, I've been around with Kasabian and stuff like that. I've been sort of on the edge of it. Not right in the mosh pit, but when I was younger, I'd go right in there. But people don't leave you alone anymore. You know what I mean? They film you and all that sort of stuff. You have to be a bit more careful. But I do... I've got to be honest, I do like a bit of it, though. I do like people when they look after me. I tell you, I've had some amazing experience. Some of the bands, you know, they're so generous of people in the music industry. More so than in football, I think. I've been on side stage and that, and it's amazing to watch them work. The top end. It's amazing, honestly. If you ever get a chance to go on side stage, it's not. I don't think the sound's as good, but not because they're rubbish, because, you know, when you're out the front, the sound's way better. You probably know this. So the sound at the front is way more powerful of the bands. But watching them perform and on the side stage and watching them, it's brilliant, man. Brilliant. If you ever get the chance, if someone said, look, we'll take you on side stage to watch a band, do it. I think it's brilliant. I love it. Absolutely love it. Seeing them work, seeing them talking to each other, seeing them organising, seeing them their playlists, seeing them looking at each other that look like something's not right and they adjust it and all that. I love all that technical stuff.
Who's the best you've seen?
The best gig I've seen, best individual gig, was Glastonbury. Kasabian played in the Woodsy tent. I've seen so many times, but it was unbelievable. He got it bang on, Serge. Went out and played banger,
live band,
banger after banger after banger.
They're good live.
5 minutes. Hardly any talking. Just went out and said, we're going to play it, and went bang straight into it, clubfoot, and it just erupted. And I was on.
They've got stadium anthem tunes that you've got to have the tunes though to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, but then I've seen so many. I mean, I saw Oasis' first gig in Cardiff. I couldn't believe how good they were because they hadn't played
after a lot of time off.
Oh, they were unbelievable. It was so on point.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable to watch because of that reason. You know, normally, even the bands that go 4 or 5 gigs here, we'll get into our rhythm. They were awesome. And I'm not just saying it because everyone jumped on the bandwagon of Oasis. I saw them at Nebworth the first time round with Stuart Pearce and all them back in the day. And then saw them at Cardiff.
Were you? Because listen, that was a big gig. I were in right at the back of that.
Oh, were you there? Were you at Cardiff?
Oh, no, you're talking Nebworth, the original one, in 96.
Yeah,
right?
but that was because of Stuart Pearce and Scott Gamble. I was big mates with Alan McGee.
So were you up front? Were you being looked after?
I was pretty close.
You were being looked after, were you?
Yeah, I was hanging on the back of their coat. I make it clear. I was at Chesterfield, but Pearcey, a brilliant friend that he is, he always looked after me when I was gigs. He knows I was into music, and he was the one who got me into gig. We called it the gig bus then. He got me on the gig bus. Even when I was at Chesterfield, he'd say, get Ginge with us. So yeah, I used to go on the gig bus with the Forest lads.
So music party wise, it would be quite an eclectic mix there. You've got
because
music guitar driven and
guitar driven would be my go-to for concerts.
Right.
And I've been so lucky to, honestly, I've met so many good people in the music and some of the bands and stuff. I love it. But the dance music, you can imagine mid 80s going into the dance scene, acid house and all that, going to the Hacienda when I was younger. All of that was right up my street, and there was a club in
Did you get into the Happy Mondays, Stone Roses, any of that stuff at that time or not?
Really, I saw the Happy Mondays in Nottingham a few weeks ago at Rock City. And they were honestly, so in them, Hallelujah was playing when I went into the Hacienda, and I couldn't believe it. I thought, this is just a different world, which there were some people interested in there. There weren't too many beers getting sold at that time. I must say that I was drinking beer, but let's just say not many others were drinking beer. But no, fantastic experience. I loved it from then on. And then there was a club in Nottingham called The Club, and it changed to a club called Venus and became really on point for a couple of years. All the DJ scene, load of big DJs. I didn't know at the time, but I used to just go in. But then it turns out they were all the big DJs going through. So yeah, I went through all that period, and then into the sort of rock and modern rock and Oasis and that. You got
an eclectic taste then.
Oh yeah. Well, I started when I was a kid because I got two older brothers. So I was the youngest. So 19 probably when I was 6, I remember the ska scene and the Specials. I loved the Specials and all that sort of stuff. So I loved all that. Then my brother was into the punk scene. And there'd always be a bit of AC/DC knocking around in the background. Brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. My brother, my middle brother Andy, loved Bowie. So loads of David Bowie and stuff like that. So yeah, I was around Northern Soul. I love some of the Ghost in the House. What a tune that is. So there's some brilliant music.
You come across them, right? Because we've been speaking about Ibiza. You come across like the type of guy that would like a nice little daytime bar type vibe now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm too old for the mad stuff. I mean, we were recently in Ibiza with my son.
What, this year? You've already been out this year already?
Yeah. My son Max and a couple of his mates and me and a couple of my mates. We only had one mad night. The lads from Camel Fat who are Evertonians.
This is ridiculous.
Big. No, they're brilliant fellas, Dave and Mike, and they looked after us and, behind the stack and the DJ stack and all
Camel Fat's not a relaxed day. That's a proper night.
No. You didn't let me finish. We only did the one big night. The others, like some of the people get Ibiza wrong, really, because they don't. You can dip your toe in the madness, you know that. But there's some gorgeous little coves, and honestly, it's amazing. So we had a brilliant time there. I'm trying to think. I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, and so we did that during the day. Some amazing food there, and then just a couple of nights we got a bit lively. That late one. So yeah. But my son was there, so all good behaviour. Best behaviour, I'd suggest.
Mate, even better if you do it with your lad. That's even
better. 23, buzzing. And my daughter, we went to Santa's place, having a really good summer with the kids. Brilliant.
It's going to be listen, it's his birthday today, so I imagine if you see him down the old tent.
No, nothing like that today. No.
Nice and relaxed today.
Yeah. Just one of my mates and a bit of dinner and a few beers with him.
Might get lively later on. Listen, let's get an update from the Formula One with Tom Clayton. Tom, what's going on, mate?
Yeah, well, it's all done here in the Austrian hills, as is the Mercedes of George Russell, who's taken the victory. A lights to flag win as he went off pole position. Max Verstappen finished second after starting fifth and crashing in qualifying. So he had battles with Hamilton, Leclerc and Antonelli through the race. And towards the end, Antonelli actually closed him down until the very last corner, to the point where the Italian was just 0.3 seconds behind Verstappen at the flag. Oscar Piastri drove a good race to fourth. The Ferraris of Hamilton and Leclerc, though, sunk like stones. They struggled with the temperatures and finished 5th and 8th respectively. But the gap at the top of the championship standings is down to 40 points, with Russell jumping into second, only behind his Mercedes teammate Antonelli. Next week, F1 is coming home as we return to Silverstone for the British Grand Prix.
It's coming home. I like that. Are you finishing your birthday with Curry?
It's a good chance. I don't know what the plan is, actually. I'm just meeting a mate and a couple of people this afternoon, so nothing crazy. Trust me. I'll tell you if it was, but no. Just starting and dabbing this afternoon. nothing mad.
If you've just joined the show, a little earlier on, we did announce that Ben Stokes is retiring from international cricket. He's currently playing at the moment in a game against New Zealand. I'm sure you're fully aware of that. We're going to be speaking to Steve Harmison in a moment. He's going to give us a little bit of a breakdown on the legacy that Ben Stokes leaves behind.
I love him. And people have asked me, would I take him at Arsenal? 100%. But you look at the last 2 seasons, Real Madrid, and then you look at the last 2 seasons for PSG, the 2 Champions Leagues. They were chasing the Champions League for so long. He moves out. They win back-to-back. It just doesn't look well on Mbappe, does it?
You could say that he's responsible for that. But
Yeah.
in the meantime, when you see what Luis Enrique, the Paris Saint-Germain manager, has changed, the way the team has changed, the unity, everybody is playing for each other, they're fighting for each other, on the pitch. And that's why, in every team they've met, they're beating because of that. They have the quality, but they show, real mentality, unity all together, the togetherness, But Kylian Mbappe, I think I won't be the guy who will say that he's the one responsible for the mess at Madrid. I think if you have Mbappe in your team, you are in a good position to win something. It depends as well of other players, The ego of players, in Madrid is so huge and devastating, in the dressing room.
Is he the best player on the planet?
Actually?
Yeah.
I won't say that. He's one of them.
Who is?
This season? Or you're saying?
Right now. If you're going to maybe write a list of your top 5 players, who would be number 1 best player in the world right now?
I really love Olise. He's been amazing for Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
And the way he entered into the national team without any...
World Cup weekend on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Sean Dyche alongside me. Action-packed show it has been non-stop from start to finish. Thank you very much for all your participation, getting involved with all the fallout to England's victory over Panama and what it looks like now going forward into the round of 32, which gets underway tonight from 7 o'clock here on talkSPORT. South Africa versus Canada. In the middle of all that, we had some breaking news that Ben Stokes is retiring from international cricket. To talk us through it a little bit further, the legend that is Steve Harmison, kind of giving up a bit of time to come and join us. Army, how are you, mate?
I'm very well, Adam. I was on air when the announcement came through. Well, we get a 10-minute warning in the embargo, and I sat with John Norman and I was speechless. I couldn't speak. I really got no idea what to make of this situation. I've known Ben Stokes since he was 15 years old, when he came as a cheeky chappy into the Durham dressing room when I was a senior player there. He's still cheeky. He's a little bit older, a little bit wiser, and what a competitor and a champion he's been for English cricket. And I mean, I think there's a lot more to run on this story, but at this moment in time, all we know is Ben Stokes is retiring at the end of this Test match, and what an unbelievable ambassador and a career he's had for English cricket.
Well, when you expand that a little bit further on me as well into world cricket, and you think of the achievement that man has done, there's only him and Jack Callis, I think, that have scored over 7,000 international runs and taken over 250 international wickets. I mean, that is absolutely sensational and kind of puts him up there with the best of the very best that have ever played the game.
Absolutely, and the injuries he's gone through. He bowled on one leg for 2.5 years. He just had an eye injury, which we don't know. It might come out and say that that's had an effect on his decision. He got a brutal hit in the eye. I mean, it was horrendous. He had his whole eye socket redone to sort of get him back on the field and get him back playing. That might have something to do with potential of retirement. But the moments that he's had, I mean, he's a moment player. Sean can probably think of it as a player you've had playing football for you, who has been an unbelievable champion, but in big moments, in big games, in big situations, for a fact, you don't have to ask this guy. He just turns up and he puts it in for you, and he makes sure that he wins that contest and wins that situation. Ben Stokes has done that for many, many years on the England cricket team.
Yeah, it's the undefinable quality in, well, in my case, in footballers, in this case, cricket, coaches can feel it. You can almost smell it on something. They've just got this thing. You know what I mean? There's something, it's not just technical. They're this desire, it's this extra edge, and they turn up and they that's how they become the best, obviously. It's not just the practice. You know what I mean? There's something inside of him, and it's hard. It's the hardest thing to describe. It. Stephen know what I'm on about. It's like a chemical disorder, I call it. You know, they've just got this gene inside them. It's like a winning gene and a performing gene. And when the big stuff starts, they turn up.
And Adam, that's Serene Botham. That's Andrew Flintoff. That's Ben Stokes. I mean, I'll just paint this picture. We had this announcement, 5 minutes building up towards the announcement. Then it was announced. Ben Stokes there's word getting around the ground that Ben Stokes has retired from international cricket. Everybody gets on their feet, give him a standing ovation. He's at the top of his bowling mark. He just paused for a second, and he took it all in. He gave it a little bit of a deep breath. He took it all in, and everybody's cheering him on. It was ridiculous. It was like the Coliseum, the theatre, and he got a wicket. Nick got catched, and he went off and he ran towards his subjects. He ran towards his fans. I mean, only Ben Stokes can get a wicket, the ball after he retired. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, we were sitting there watching it. We couldn't believe it.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah, as it was breaking, we couldn't believe what we were seeing, couldn't we? On the big, because we've got a massive screen, as you probably know, in the studio. And we were like, oh my goodness, he's just taken a wicket.
Hobby, you've just been speaking about those clutch moments, and he's had so many. Throughout his career, what is the one for you that stands out that will be remembered for years and years and years?
2019 Headingley. That will never. I don't think anybody can beat something like that. When he needed 70 odd to win, last wicket. He was basically out on his feet when Jack Leach walked out to bat.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting a big 140 to win England, or big score to win England the game. The World Cup final.
Yeah.
Ben Stokes World Cup final, he got 70 odd to get England to that, the super over, and then went again. I mean, the man is colossal when it comes. The spell he bowled in Cape Town, when talkSPORT were in Cape Town over, I think, what was that, 2020, 250 on the same ground. He's double 100 in the Ashes in the infancy of his career. I mean, there's been many big moments from Ben Stokes, and like I say, I mean, getting a wicket, the first ball after you've retired, is something special as well. But I think nobody will ever forget, in the next 100 years of this great game that we love, we'll all be hearing stories about that Headingley 100. So if there's one moment that defines Ben Stokes, I think it's the 100 at Headingley.
How do we cope without him going forward?
We showed last week we can't. Simple. Honestly, I'm struggling to understand how we've get into this decision, and that is probably a story that's going to run for possibly another day. But replacing somebody like Ben Stokes, I'm trying to put it into football in terms, because a lot of our listeners are connected with football, but it's having a player that can do 2 or 3 different jobs in a team, to inspire a team, to make the team not only work but be balanced. Ben Stokes balances it with a ball, he balances it with a bat, his leadership quality is unbelievable, he's an unbelievable fielder. It showed last week, not because nothing to do with Joe Root's captaincy or anything like that. We looked an absolute shadow of a cricket team last week, and well, we're potentially going to get beat this week, but the actual having a batter who can bowl, we waited 20 odd years after Botham, we waited a little bit more time after Flintoff, and now after Stokes. Is there somebody out there that can come and fill that void? I don't think so, not for the foreseeable future.
In the world of cricket, given everything that's happened, Army, and I know that we want to celebrate this man's fantastic career, but given everything that's happened over the last couple of weeks, 3 weeks or so, how big of a story is this that Ben Stokes now has decided to call time at this particular point?
I think there'll be people waking up whenever they do in Australia and be exactly the same reaction as what I've had. India, Pakistan, everybody in world cricket will be trying to understand that Ben Stokes is not going to play cricket ever again in international cricket, and be shocked. It'll be a huge shock to everybody around the world. This is the biggest story in cricket for quite a while. So he's Ben Stokes. He is. There are individual characters in sport, in you look at the world of football, the likes of Mbappe, who's smashing it in the World Cup. All these big figures, Messi and Ronaldo's. In cricket there are key figures, the likes of Kohli, who is he's king of India. Ben Stokes is king of England, and unfortunately, for whatever's happened, has led to him retiring, and what I'm thinking, retiring a little bit prematurely.
Army, thank you very much for giving up a bit of time there, mate. I'll let you go and collect further thoughts before you get stuck into the rest of the game. Top man Steve Harmison giving his thoughts on the announcement that came a little earlier on that Ben Stokes is retiring from international cricket. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fallout over the next 24, 48 hours, and you'll get it all here on talkSPORT, and it'll be sandwiched in all the World Cup fallout as well. And who knows, Sean Dyche's birthday might pop up again throughout the course of the next...
I think next week will be a better celebration. Kasabian at Finsbury Park on the Saturday and Will Fallis on the Sunday. I think that.
Are you going to that?
Yeah, of course. Kasabian, that would be unbelievable. Will Fallis, I've only seen him once, but they're brilliant. So no, I'm buzzing for that. So I think that's probably my real birthday celebration will be next weekend, I think.
Next week. Just a quick one on the cricket, by the way. We've got live ball-by-ball commentary of the third and final test between England and New Zealand. That's currently taking place over on the talkSPORT cricket YouTube channel. Go and get yourself stuck in. Thank you very much for your time today.
No,
mate.
brilliant. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
And enjoy the rest of your birthday, pal.
I will.
If you do see him out and about, buy him a pint. He's in it. Kick off tonight is 7 o'clock. Make sure you're back into that for the round of 32 as South Africa and Canada get the knockout stages of the competition underway. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.
What have you made of Stevie Clarke? He's come under the spotlight for how he's handled the journalists. He's come under the spotlight how he's set up Scotland, certainly in the second game as well. And some people have even questioned why he's had his term there extended before this World Cup. What do you make of that?
Well, Stevie Clarke, I played against him, and I know him, and he's not a Jose, he's a very quiet guy, to be honest. And you have to look at what he's achieved as Scotland manager. It's brilliant, absolutely up there with the best. So. People have got to realise in the press, I know the press getting on this, this storm of the fans and the Tartan Army and we party and all that, but the press have got to realise, where our players play, who they play for in the big league and the World League. And we've done well to get there. We could have qualified, and I don't think we will. I think Steve Clarke's been frank and he's been honest. And I think he's right. There's too many permutations against us. Which is going to, again, we're going to be crying losers, if only. I had it in 82. We should have beaten Russia in the final game. We drew 2-2 because we conceded 2 goals against New Zealand first game, 15th of June. So we knew it was going to be tough. And that was a side with Souness, Hansen, Dalglish, Strachan, etc. It was a John Robertson. Great side. It's not easy when you